stern man appoints a boy as the feudal lord of the 12th Dominion, ordering him to leave and not return until he makes the Dominion flourish. The boy, Nagash, the fourth son of a duke, is being thrown out at age 15. He has been ignored and treated as a dropout by his family since birth. Among nobles, magical aptitude is highly valued, with battle-suited attributes favored and others coldly treated. Elt's magic attribute is plant magic. The land granted to him has been abandoned for centuries and currently has no lord. He realizes his family views this as a pest extermination mission. Suddenly, Elt experiences an intense headache as a flood of information overwhelms him. He collapses to his knees, recalling memories from his previous world. The pain subsides, and he reflects that he is a reincarnated person with only fragmented memories and magical knowledge. He understands this world is the MMORPG he once played, where magic was easily used, though he cannot remember his past name or life. His knowledge of magic remains clear. He sighs, deciding to wait for his memories to return gradually, as trying to recall everything at once would overwhelm him. Alone in a dilapidated room, he resolves that the place needs fixing. His head holds the magic knowledge from his past life, including magical fruit, vegetable creation, fruit creation, and a large treehouse. He wonders if it's acceptable to use the same methods as in the game from his previous life and decides he has no choice but to test it out. Nagash stands before a large treehouse, surrounded by thick tree trunks and leaves. Magical runes circle the structure as he prepares to test his magic. The ancient treehouse looms, its entrance dark and inviting. He exhales deeply, exhausted from using magic just once. The large treehouse now stands complete, a furnished home created by magic. He inspects his hand, noting his MP is very low and resolves to increase it to the previous level before continuing. Opening the door, he enters the cozy, furnished treehouse. He smiles, finding the bed fluffy and comfortable. Despite his fatigue, he decides to use magical fruit to recover, determined to overcome his exhaustion. Elt successfully grows magical fruit, glowing with energy and ready to be harvested as raw materials for MP potions. He tastes the fruit, delighted by its sweetness, confident. He reminds himself to take things one step at a time, knowing his plant magic and determination will help him triumph over his household's challenges. 2 weeks later, Nagash proudly notes he now has many fruits of recovery growing. Suddenly, a group of anthropomorphic cat-like merchants arrives, knocking on his door and announcing themselves as representatives of the Black Moon firm. Their leader, Noel, requests permission to pass through his land. Addressing him respectfully as Noble Sama, Elt invites them inside, confirming they are merchants from the Nyafu race and welcomes them to relax. The merchants express their gratitude as Elt grants permission. Noel offers a small gift to show appreciation. While Elt mentions wanting to buy something from them if possible, Noel reveals a blue fruit, explaining it is an ingredient for healing potions called a healberry. The merchants react excitedly, amazed by the fruit's quality. Noel apologizes for her excitement and asks Elt to explain his reaction. She explains the world currently suffers a severe shortage of healberries, making healing potions scarce despite being their flagship product. The more vibrant and blue a healberry is, the higher its quality. This is her first time seeing such a radiant shade. Elt listens intently as she clarifies the fruit's importance and rarity. Elt asks if the merchants can buy all the healberries he has in stock. The merchants express deep gratitude, thrilled at the prospect of acquiring so many at once. Elt confirms his limited supply, and the merchants excitedly react, overwhelmed by the opportunity to obtain the valuable healberries. The small merchant timidly asks the noble if he will be able to get more healberries again, hoping to continue their trades. The noble responds that he doesn't mind, even saying it helps him too. The merchant beams with excitement, promising mutual profit if they keep trading this way. The group of merchants cheerfully thanks him as they prepare to leave. The merchants appraise the healberries, confirming each berry is top quality. The noble is shocked by the high value, expecting them to be worth only about 1 gold coin. The merchant offers 20 gold coins as payment, explaining how rare the berries are on the market and how lucky they are to meet the noble here. The noble, still surprised, acknowledges the situation. Holding the money, the noble reflects that it's the first time seeing so much money, and the first time is Elt. He asks if he can buy food with it, and the merchant happily agrees, determined. He vows to fill his stomach to the brim tonight, especially with non-vegetarian food. The merchants discuss the unbelievable shortage of healberries in the market and question if it was wise not to investigate their origin. They acknowledge the noble was kind and easygoing, but warn that the Nagash Duke House is one of the kingdom's 5 influential noble houses, and a wrong move could cost them dearly. The merchant reflects that this was their smoothest transaction with a noble so far. The cat-like merchants confirm there was no opposition to granting the young noble the rights to a land, Clearly expecting much from him, they speculate the heelberries were development funds from the Nagash Duke House to cultivate the area. One merchant insists their eyes never lie, sensing the noble's fierce determination and dignified presence. They decide to establish a base and support the noble's efforts. The noble acknowledges the request to live on his land. While the merchants promise to honor the heelberry contract and pay taxes properly, they explain they came here searching for a new base and capital for their trade. The noble finds the news wonderful but questions if it's truly acceptable, noting the land appears empty. The merchants assure him they're accustomed to living in tents. The noble accepts their residence, hoping to get along well. The cat-like merchant is moved emotionally, but denies any problem when asked. The noble is addressed respectfully as feudal lord. The noble clarifies that building a house means simply standing back while he handles it. He doesn't want them shivering in the cold. Suddenly, he points to a large treehouse in the land, surprising the merchants who wonder what it is. The noble points to a large treehouse and declares it will be the new house, surprising the merchants who ask if it will be ready within moments. He explains the house will be built bit by bit since activating it all at once is difficult. The merchants nervously ask how much they should pay, but the noble insists he doesn't need compensation. He reminds them they'll be in trouble without a home, prompting the merchants to pledge wholehearted loyalty as his subjects. A few days later at the Pharmacist Guild in Labyrinth City Zanzas, a cat-like merchant asks a tired woman named Anirecap how business is. She admits she's almost dying from the inability to make potions due to a shortage of raw materials. Despite orders coming in, the merchant comments that she still bets her life on potion making. The merchant reveals that although the northern region is out of raw materials, she somehow found a supply. Anirecap is shocked to see a truckload of heelberries, noting their wonderful color and quantity aren't even available in the royal capital. The merchant urges her to calm down as she understands her feelings well. The merchant explains they stocked the heelberries at a certain noble's land, describing him as a very good person. She requests Anirecap's help, saying the land needs a pharmacist. Although they still have many potion ingredients, she emphasizes the importance of this request. Anirecap insists she will go herself, declaring no one is better suited for the task. The cat-like merchant protests, but Anirecap is determined, promising to travel to the ends of the world if she can make potions. The merchant finally relents, urging her to calm down, and Anirecap joyfully raises her arms in triumph. The scene shifts to a forested area with small wooden houses, where the cat-like merchant explains the homes provide shelter from rain and wind, cautioning about fire hazards due to the wooden interiors. Nagash watches a group of cat villagers admiring the houses, calling them cute. The merchant notes Noel will bring a pharmacist from Zanzas, and Nagash wonders what will happen. The merchant reassures him that Noel will bring someone capable, and they agree to wait expectantly. Anirecap formally introduces herself as the Vice Guildmaster of the Pharmacist Guild in Zanzas. Nagash thanks her for the introduction and explains he has been entrusted with the land. He shows her a carriage full of tools and materials needed for potion making, assuring her that Noel's stamp of approval means everything should be fine. Anirecap earnestly begs to learn how to synthesize confusion healing potions, promising to do anything for it. Nagash calmly replies he needs no payment beyond her staying and working at his place. She beams, calling him very kind and happily agrees to immigrate if she can make potions, promising to be in his care. The scene closes with a note on the residents. 21 Nyafa race including Anirecap. Total population 22. Nagash announces Noel has returned safely with a new resident and suggests holding a celebration party. The group of cat villagers reacts with surprise and gratitude, feeling honored to be welcomed by Sama, though he downplays it as not a big deal. The magic manifests as a sprouting tree branch, rapidly growing and twisting into a humanoid wooden figure. Nagash commands it to take humanoid form and stand up, watching as the wooden golem begins to move. The fully formed wood soldier stands before them, identified as magic to create and control a Treeman golem. Noel asks if this is magic, and Nagash confirms it is golem creation magic. Though no longer highly valued, he names the golem Wood, who responds with a cheerful sound, ready to serve. Nagash assigns Noel his first task, to take fruits from his house and pack them into boxes. The magic used is fruit creation, which creates fruits. Noel and the cat villager marvel at the abundance of fruits, especially the melons, which are said to be very sweet but rare to see. The cat villagers express joy and gratitude for receiving such wonderful, sweet-smelling gifts from Elt. Watches them happily, thinking it's good they appreciate it. The scene shifts to crates and bottles prepared for the celebration. The night settles in as the villagers gather around, enjoying the feast with music and laughter. Leaves drift gently in the air, and the atmosphere is warm and festive. Holds a glowing fruit, smiling softly as the celebration continues under the starry sky. The day begins with a clear sky and a gentle breeze. Noel stretches and yawns, appreciating the good weather despite the wind. He plans to make potions at Analia's house. Recalling their excitement about potion making the day before, sitting together with Analia and a cheerful cat, he reflects on how long it's been since he talked with someone so much, feeling it's good to reconnect. Noel approaches Analia's house but is startled by her loud cries of pain. She clutches her head, lamenting a severe hangover from drinking too much. Noel reminds himself to be patient and decides to try potion making again despite the rough start. Analia admits she's ashamed of her hangover, but Noel reassures her not to worry, interpreting it as a sign she had a lot of fun. They share a light moment, with Analia happily noting it's been a while since they talked so much about potions. She confesses she drank too much because she was enjoying herself so much. Noel smiles warmly, declaring his happiness and ending the topic on a positive note. Analia blushes, feeling her cheeks grow warm. Noel offers to postpone if she's not feeling well, but she insists she's fine. The scene closes on a cozy kitchen counter filled with potion ingredients, ready for their next attempt. Noel volunteers to try making the potion first, asking Analia to point out any mistakes without holding back. She agrees eagerly. He explains the process. Heating finely chopped heelberries in a beaker, then filtering out foreign particles with a funnel, confident in his knowledge and tools for recovery potions. He notes it's mostly repeating steps, as long as he doesn't fall asleep holding a bunch of grass. He wonders aloud what it's used for. Analia is surprised when Noel says the grass is for potions, but he insists the step of mixing it in before heating is unnecessary. She questions this, recalling their specialized school taught that technique. Noel reflects that although his magic knowledge matched this world's until now, there must be differences. He suggests trying the method he knows for now, and Analia agrees, still a bit puzzled. Noel carefully pours the potion ingredients onto filter paper, heats the mixture over a flame, and chops the berries finely. His focused gaze shines with determination, proudly. He announces the potion is done. Analia flinches at his enthusiastic moan, and he quickly asks what happened. She shyly calls his name, surprised by his reaction. Analia apologizes, admitting her consciousness nearly faded from how beautifully the potion turned out. Noel asks how it is and offers her the chance to drink it as a test. She agrees, trusting his expertise since she doesn't know other methods. Taking the potion, she nods with understanding, ready to judge the result. Analia raises the potion glass eagerly, declaring she will drink it now. She downs the potion with surprising speed, prompting Noel to think she sure can drink. He asks if it tastes different from others, but she shakes her head and beams, praising it as a wonderful potion. She happily announces her hangover is gone, confirming the potion's effect. Noel wipes his brow, relieved. She marvels that potions can be made without mixing herbs, calling it a huge revelation and praising Noel's knowledge. She explains that mastering this method could grant huge influence in the Pharmacist Guild. Noel agrees, noting the ingredients get exhausted quickly. A few days later, a cat-like messenger bursts in excitedly, showing a huge number of potions. Noel mentions trying to create fruits that might sell well, impressing the messenger. The cat asks Analia if all the letters piled up are to be taken to Zanz's. Analia confirms and leaves the task to her. Noel narrates that this time he had Analia write many letters with instructions about advertising his dominion. The letters promise free houses and jobs for those who move to Nagash's territory, emphasizing the same tax rate as Zanz's but with better conditions. Analia and Noel wonder if people will come over with this, and she confidently believes they will, noting the Pharmacist Guild currently has more useless meetings than work. Noel acknowledges the feeling of adventurers being out of work. Analia suggests since adventurers can't earn money, it's better for them to come over here. The cat-like messenger notes the lack of potions and rarity of healing mages, explaining adventurers can't risk challenging dungeons. She adds this area is unexplored and rich in materials, so if Eltsama issues an official notice, adventurers will flock here. Analia insists adventurers who mainly collect materials will happily come if they can earn more here than in dungeons. Noel agrees, finding the idea promising. The tree-like creature excitedly exclaims many will come. Noel proudly states his magic power is maturing properly. Noel reflects that things are going smoothly thanks to his plant magic, able to provide everything others need. The group, including Analia and the cat-like messenger, gather happily around him. The narration confirms Noel's plant magic is helping the people and the Dominion is prospering. Noel smiles confidently and waves goodbye as the group sets off down a path toward the mountains, sure that everything will go well. Noel thanks the tree-like creature for the meal and announces he will go out to patrol. The cat-like messenger urgently calls out to Eltsama, wanting to discuss something outside. Noel asks why Brown is so flustered. Brown explains he noticed a tree statue from his house. Noel asks where exactly he saw it. Brown points out the statue was in one of the tree houses Noel made, buried underground but likely surfaced with the large tree sprouting. Noel asks Brown to show him the place, and Brown happily agrees, leading the way. Noel and Brown arrive at the statue, which is worn out, Brown identifies it as the elf Stella, a hero of Zanzi's and an S-ranked adventurer. He explains people use her figure as a protective charm, praising her achievements. Noel reflects on the elf race living in harmony with the forest and learns Stella was deeply wounded fighting the demon lord and returned to the forest. She considers bringing the statue over to use as interior decor. The elf nearby warns the statue contains only a feeble amount of magic power and that using force might damage it. Noel gently tries moving the tree with magic, but the magic doesn't activate. He looks on in surprise as nothing happens. The tree statue suddenly rumbles as the roots crack open, revealing the legendary hero Stella emerging from within. She gasps with relief, declaring herself finally free. Brown and Noel stare in shock, unable to believe the statue they just talked about has come to life. The elf thanks him tearfully for saving her, but he insists she's still trapped and he hasn't freed her yet. He's baffled by the situation, wondering why the magic on the wooden statue turned it into the strange elf. He commands the tree to move, but she doesn't seem to respond. Inside a house, the elf's body shows no obvious injury. The pharmacist Analia introduces herself and the cat-like Nyafu who told Brown about the elf. The elf apologizes for any rudeness, and the feudal lord Eltsama introduces himself with a polite smile. The elf formally introduces herself as Stella Naristar, an elf. Brown and Analia react with surprise, recalling Stella as a legendary hero of Zanzi's. Eltsama ponders the fact that the hero Stella lived hundreds of years ago. Eltsama asks how Stella ended up as a wooden statue. She explains it was due to a magic item called the Pendant of the Demon Lord. The pendant transforms magic power into stamina, but also randomly causes debuffs, which left Stella cursed as a wooden statue. Eltsama concludes Stella was just unlucky to be hit by that debuff. Stella admits that being turned into a wooden statue for years, slowly decaying, was horrible. Elt acknowledges the situation and asks if she's truly the real Stella. Nyafu dismisses Stella as a weirdo, but Stella insists she is the real deal, though Elt remains skeptical. Elt questions what kind of magic the legendary Stella used. Nyafu enthusiastically explains Stella's superhuman strength spell and recalls a story where Stella crushed a dragon with a spinning attack. Stella demonstrates her strength by bending a piece of hard ebony wood with just her fingers. Stella nervously reacts to the stories still circulating about her feats, admitting one about the bent ebony might be exaggerated. Elt decides to investigate the superhuman strength magic and offers to prepare a piece of ebony for Stella. She asks him to do it for her and he agrees, causing the wood to grow magically. She energetically breaks the ebony piece into splinters, proving her strength. Elt and Nyafu watch in stunned amazement, confirming she's the genuine article. Stella's feat leaves everyone impressed, while Stella herself looks relieved and proud. Elt apologizes for testing her and confirms she truly is the adventurer Stella. He asks if she will return to adventuring or what she plans to do now. Stella, looking vulnerable, quietly asks if she can stay here, even if she might be a bother. He contemplates that Stella may have no place to return to, recalling how she was turned into a wooden statue for so long that she has no one she feels like looking for. He then warmly offers her to stay as long as she likes, with the freedom to leave if she wishes. Stella gratefully acknowledges him as a kind feudal lord and expresses her desire to repay his kindness. Elt silently agrees, having no complaints if she wants to stay. Nyafu enthusiastically greets Stella, calling her by name and promising to do their best together. Stella shyly asks to be called just Stella. Nyafu excitedly shares her knowledge of Stella's life, including the breakup with her fiancé, which Stella admits to with embarrassment. Nyafu praises the scene where Stella's fiancé declared stronger people detestable as refreshing. Stella blushes, overwhelmed by the attention. Elt gently reminds Stella that if she pays her dues and contributes fairly, she can live freely however she likes. Nyafu excitedly agrees, encouraging Stella to make as many potions as she wants. Stella laughs, feeling at ease, while Nyafu and Brown cheer. Stella smiles warmly, finally feeling this place is a good home. Stella bows deeply, pledging to be in their care from now on. Elt responds warmly with a simple, comma, then smiles and returns the sentiment. Sealing their mutual trust, Nyafu beams happily beside them, the group united in a new beginning. Several days later, at the territory's border, a cheerful Nyafu announces her return to Elt with excitement. A caravan of covered wagons and riders approaches through a forested path, signaling the arrival of new settlers. Elt greets Nyafu warmly, surprised by the parade of people arriving. Nyafu proudly explains that every person in the caravan has come to live here, vouched for by her after thorough interviews, assuring their worthiness and abilities. Elt reacts with awe at the growing community. Riding through the tree-filled territory, two men discuss how the area, rich with large trees, is a relaxing place perfect for potion making. One of them, Analia, waves from a building. Having also come to the territory, Elt and Nyafu stand together, both surprised and amazed by the thriving new settlement and the promise it holds. Nyafu praises Elt's skill as a feudal lord, crediting him for their success. Elt reflects quietly, acknowledging the hard work behind it all. Nyafu notes that their excellent results have opened a great opportunity. Elt smiles warmly, grateful for Nyafu's kind words. Perched on a tree, Nyafu calls for Elt's report. Elt looks thoughtful, sensing something important. Nyafu hints at a huge matter to discuss, teasing that she'll need a handshake and autograph later. Nyafu praises the arrival of an S-rank adventurer, calling her a valuable asset. Elt defends her manners and acknowledges her magical abilities. Nyafu admits she doesn't understand everything about the adventurer's style but trusts her potential. Elt hands Nyafu an urgent letter from the Adventurers Guild, explaining it concerns those wanting to become adventurers. The letter reveals the Adventurers Guild wishes to partner with Elt's territory. Elt thanks Nyafu for the letter and agrees they should accept the offer. Nyafu remarks on Elt's mature thinking, while Elt shares his hopes for the territory's future beyond just its current produce. Elt reveals the territory's trump card beyond plant magic, hinting at the S-rank adventurer Stella as the key to their relationship with the Adventurers Guild. Nyafu notes Stella's celebrity status and lack of handshake talent, while Stella, recently reborn, works in the fields as they decide to gradually give her more celebrity tasks. Visitors marvel at the tree houses that form the new residential area, noting their size is about twice that of typical houses in Zanzi's. Elt explains the area is newly developed, and the fact that all this was created with magic impresses the onlookers. Elt admits he has built around 20 tree houses for newcomers but acknowledges it's still insufficient. He decides to focus on non-stop treehouse construction, postponing matters with the Adventurers Guild. He asks others to step back as he prepares to cast a spell. He chants the spell Big Tree House repeatedly, astonishing the crowd with his rapid magic. They marvel at his ability to perform such magic continuously, attributing the territory's livability to the immense magical power sustaining it. The group watches in awe as the magic takes effect. He finally understands why the king appointed this young man as a feudal lord, despite only raising his magic power since arriving. A good misunderstanding and rumor about him have spread. The night falls over the newly built tree houses. The next day, they discuss a new collaboration with the Adventurers Guild. The letter is polite, showing the guild values this territory. Elt reviews the deal. Selling potions at a set price, supplying confusion healing potions per guild requests, while the guild will handle fast transportation and encourage locals to migrate here. They talk about the importance of confusion healing potions for dungeon exploration. The guild has mobile task forces to handle monster attacks, but potions are crucial for their defense. Elt considers introducing capable people next. Elt tells Stella the condition has been fulfilled and asks her to take on a simple job. To show her face at the Zanzi's Adventurers Guild, he intends for her to serve as a goodwill ambassador, hoping she becomes an ally in the eyes of the people of Zanzi's. Stella agrees if she can. Elt tells Stella that the people of Zanzi's completely idolize her and asks if she minds simply showing her face to them. He reassures her she doesn't have to do it if it's unpleasant or overdone. Stella, looking hesitant, says she will try but finds it more embarrassing than unpleasant. She admits tearfully that she was lonely, had no friends and always adventured alone, and that everyone knows this from the plays about her. Elt quickly apologizes for asking, realizing her feelings. Stella cries quietly while Nyafu comforts her, and Elt nervously asks if they are friends now. Stella and Nyafu happily affirm it, and Stella smiles brightly, sparkling with joy. The narration notes that as Elt's influence grows, so do his subjects and now friends, listing the current feudal subjects and population before the story pauses. A quiet forest path sets the scene as Elt wonders what kind of meeting awaits today. He cheerfully announces they will find a gift for the Adventurers Guild and looks forward to working with everyone. The group of companions, including a tree-like figure, gathers eagerly around him. The narration explains they have entered the western forest of their territory for the first time, prompted by Noel's intuition about abundant raw materials inside. Elt instructs the group to collect bomb grass from the southeast direction. One member quickly finds some, while Elt notes how convenient it is that words appear in his head thanks to his forest sage magic, which helps him understand surrounding plants. The group moves through the forest, gathering ingredients as Elt guides them. Elt praises Nyafu for her keen observational skills, noting she finds materials faster than veteran adventurers despite only encountering plants. Lacking knowledge of minerals or animals, Nyafu beams with pride. Elt acknowledges his magic's effects are stronger than expected. He directs them to the next patch of herbs, silver clovers, which are valuable and will sell for a high price. Two nobles comment on Elt's impressive knowledge of plants, with one reflecting on the differences in noble education. Suddenly, Elt calls for everyone to stop. Sensing a dryad may live in the area, Nyafu reacts with surprise and excitement, questioning if a dryad really exists here. Elt tries to calm Nyafu's excitement, asking if dryads are really dangerous. Nyafu insists dryads haven't existed here for 100 years, so finding one would be unprecedented. Elt wonders if that's true and notes the need for careful negotiation due to lack of information. Suddenly, he senses something near a large tree and prepares to investigate. Approaching the big tree, Elt and Nyafu notice it has no leaves. Elt questions if the dryad might be nearby. A crack in the tree reveals a figure inside, who warmly welcomes them. The dryad introduces herself as Tedatoka, the White Rose Dryad. Tedatoka cheerfully greets Elt, assuring him they aren't suspicious. She acknowledges that humans have begun living on the other side of the forest and tells Elt not to worry since the forest belongs to everyone. Elt points out the wilted tree nearby. Sensing trouble, Tedatoka offers tea but admits their situation is dire. Elt explains he can use magic to understand the tree's condition and confirms it is wilting. He realizes they must move deeper into the forest. Tedatoka beams with amazement as Elt summons a magical big tree house, impressing her with his abilities. Elt reflects on his desire to help the dryad, pitying her helplessness against the tree's decay. Elt explains that his magic is called plant magic and offers to make more houses like the one they saw. Tedatoka happily replies that they all want to live in the same tree, not separate ones. Elt considers making something like the large treehouse but doubts there is enough space in the forest. Brown excitedly shouts he has a great idea and suggests Tedatoka live in Elt's village. Tedatoka and Brown discuss moving to Elt's place, noting the abundance of trees and delicious water. Tedatoka smells a pleasant scent from Elt and wonders if it's true. Elt confirms he produces what he eats and what his magic creates. Though he hesitates, Tedatoka joyfully agrees they will live the same way. Elt invites Tedatoka to live in his village, promising to prepare a suitable treehouse. Tedatoka thinks it over, then happily announces to the other dryads that they are moving to Elt's place. She waves energetically, and the dryads cheer in excitement. He proudly reveals the large treehouse he created. Brown rushes over to thank him. Elt, Brown, and Tedatoka watch the treehouse as Brown explains the dryads who disappeared have come to live here. He reassures them that the dryads are a gentle tribe and there is no need to worry. Tedatoka beams with joy at their new home. Tedatoka happily explains that dryads excel at gardening and can grow anything as potted plants, living happily and providing half the raw materials for all potions worldwide. Brown excitedly declares this power is why he's so thrilled. Elt wonders if dryads truly possess such strength and notes they seem willing to help. Crediting Elt-sama's efforts, despite living alongside plants, dryads remain emotionally reserved. Elt concludes that with plant magic, they will enjoy a vegetable-based lifestyle. A week later, Elt observes Tedatoka and Analia enjoying themselves. Analia praises the dryads' gardening knowledge, confident they can farm many medicinal herbs. Elt asks how long heelberries take to ripen, and Tedatoka explains that with 3 afternoon naps under the sun, it takes about 6 days. Elt thanks her for the information. Elt reflects that heelberries normally take 2 months to ripen, but dryads can cultivate medicinal herbs at an abnormally fast rate, making them a wonderful race. Brown informs Elt that a letter from the Adventurers Guild has arrived, signed by the Apothecary and Smithing Guilds as well. The letter is a form of emergency, showing that all 3 guilds are closely monitoring Elt-sama. He promises to arrange for adventurers to gather supplies. Brown reveals someone found a special metal in a forest hill, likely of interest to the Smithing Guild. The letter expresses deep gratitude for their cooperation and politely accepts all previous proposals. Elt feels satisfied, confident that cooperation with Zanzas will be firmly established, speeding up the flow of people and goods. They decide to visit Zanzas and Elt encourages them to go. House Nagash protests that there's no need for them to come along, urging them to leave it to the others. Despite feeling he should join, Elt insists he's counting on them for this. The group enthusiastically promises to meet Elt's expectations and return with good news. Elt watches them leave, and Nyafu praises his skill at motivating others. Elt thanks Nyafu and wonders if it's unusual for a noble to act so warmly. Nyafu assures him it's special and that they're glad he's like that. Elt resolves to take action himself instead of just waiting for good news. In front of the great tree tower, Elt and Nyafu watch a tree-like creature loosening the soil. Elt recalls Tedatoka's wish to till the dirt here to grow something, ideally big trees or flowers. He daydreams about coconuts and sweet desserts made from them, clearly inspired and motivated. The dryads cheer as the soil is being tilled, their voices rising in excitement. One dryad asks if everyone is present, and the group responds with a resounding yes. The soil has become soft, and a figure nearby expresses gratitude for the effort, proudly claiming to have done their best. The dryads happily immerse themselves in the earth, their heads poking out as they enjoy the moment. Elt and Yafu observe the scene, with Elt recalling that he has seen something similar in his previous life. Tadatoka explains that the dryads are taking a mud bath, a method they use to refresh themselves. Brown comments on how it looks like they are being buried alive, but Tadatoka confirms this is true. Elt notes that being underground probably calms the dryads because they are so close to being plants. He reflects on the unusual growth of plants in the area where the dryads bury themselves. He explains that when the dryads touch the dirt, something enriches the soil, making it very fertile for plants. This discovery is useful for agricultural applications. He speculates that since dryads only take mud baths, all their bodily excretions are cleaned by the mud, which, combined with their vegan diet and plant-like nature, turns into a natural fertilizer. The scene shifts to a carriage journey, where the group is nearing Zanzi's after 2 days of shaking travel. One character remarks on the boring ride finally ending. Another mentions having passed this way many times and appreciating the scenery. Inside the carriage, a woman wonders what kind of place Zanzi's has become, recalling that in her day it was only a small village. The carriage passengers discuss the bustling city of Zanzi's, now home to tens of thousands. One points out a statue by the roadside, signaling their imminent arrival. The cat-like companion confirms the statue marks the city's outskirts. The elf girl gasps in disbelief, recognizing the statue as that of Stella. The others explain that statues of Stella are common throughout Zanzi's. She admits she is not the same as the woman the statue represents, though the resemblance is striking. Determined, the elf declares she will give her all as an adventurer from now on, surprising the others with her resolve. Back at the burial site, Elt questions what the adventurers are doing as they soak in the enriched soil. He explains how plants thrive after dryads bury themselves, and wonders if the soil's fertility might benefit humans too. The dryad cheerfully announces that everyone is enjoying the sun, but the human looks confused. Several dryads begin watering the soil with joyful chants, splashing water around. The human urgently tells them to stop, explaining that watering humans is not good. The dryad questions this, surprised by the warning. The human scolds the dryads for mimicking their strange behaviors and urges caution. The dryads insist the watering will make them healthier, thanking the human warmly. Narration explains that after several days, the human's condition improved somewhat, showing the odd but friendly relationship between humans and dryads. The human reflects that as long as the dryads do this in their spare time, it's acceptable, though he finds the mud bath unpleasant. A final note records the dryad population. At 103, ending the scene. Stella and the others have arrived in the bustling city of Zanzi's, while the elf expresses awe at the lively streets filled with merchants and travelers. The elf remarks on how amazing the city has become, noting that people gather here to obtain items from the labyrinth. She observes that statues of Stella are everywhere throughout the city. Inside the carriage, the elf asks if the Adventurers Guild is near the entrance, and the cat-like companion confirms they will arrive soon. The elf reflects on how she changes whenever she sees a statue of Stella, who is honored as the oldest hero in Zanzi's and was likely still alive when the statue was completed. The elf grows quiet, troubled by something, while the cat-like companion whispers excitedly. Outside, a group of adventurers waits as footsteps approach, signaling their imminent arrival. Leia, the guildmaster of the Adventurers Guild, steps forward gracefully and thanks the group for coming to greet her. She smiles warmly, declaring that the day she could finally meet Hero Stella has arrived. Outside, 2 onlookers comment on Leia's new hairstyle, surprised that the usually bedhead guildmaster has done something different. They note her eyes are sparkling now, a sign of renewed energy. The cat-like companion happily remarks that their influence is showing, and the group prepares to move on. Meanwhile, Elt reflects quietly that Stella and the others should have arrived in Zanzi's by now. He shakes off his worries and decides to get some fresh air by going fishing. Inviting Wood to join him, Wood eagerly agrees, excited to go swimming. Elt meets Brown outside and announces his plan to go fishing with Wood. Brown asks where Elt is headed, and the cat-like companion excitedly asks to come along. Hearing this, several other adventurers nearby cheer and volunteer to join the fishing trip, creating a lively group ready to head out together. A large group gathers by the lake, fishing rods in hand, creating a lively scene. Wood wonders why so many people suddenly showed up. While the cat-like companion explains this is part of Elt's talents, Wood imagines it as a fishing competition, questioning if such a thing really exists. Wood clarifies that there isn't an official competition here, but suggests a simple rule. Whoever catches the largest fish within the time limit wins. The cat-like companion eagerly agrees to try it out. Wood drops his line into the water, but notices nothing is biting yet. Suddenly, the white rose dryad Tadatoka appears, cheerfully breaking the serious mood. Wood asks if she plans to fish, and she admits she doesn't really understand it since she's never done it before. Wood offers to make her a fishing rod, which excites her greatly as she eagerly accepts. Wood begins crafting a fishing rod with magical energy, while Tedatoka happily rummages for bait. Wood explains that using wooden fish as bait won't work and offers some small shrimp instead. Tedatoka beams with joy, promising to cherish the rod as Wood prepares to attach the bait properly. A special dryad-made herb ball is offered. Catching their interest immediately, the ball is carefully lowered into the water, causing a splash as it sinks. Excited, they decide to try using it. The cat-like companion panics, urging not to let go of the line, while the dryad struggles to manage the fishing rod. Unsure how to handle it, plants grow rapidly around them, snapping as the dryad pulls the line. Eventually, the tension eases, and the group sighs in relief. Concerned, the boy asks if the dryad is hurt, but she reassures him with a smile, thankful despite the unexpected outcome. She explains the herb ball is her own blend of medicinal herbs mixed with various ingredients. The cat-like companion asks if the herbs come from where they planted themselves, and the dryad confirms they can gather good herbs from there. The boy requests another herb ball, which the dryad happily hands over. He tosses it into the water, observing the fish eagerly drawn to it. He notes that using these herb balls could help them gather a large amount of fish, amazed by their effectiveness. The cat-like companion proudly holds up a completed woven basket, declaring it finished. He explains that they just pull it up when fish enter, which should increase their fishing efficiency. The boy praises Elt's skill for making it so quickly, while the dryad looks on with admiration. They toss the basket into the water, watching as fish swim inside. The boy confirms it works well, while Elt reports the fish here are extremely wary, and their pride as adventurers was completely destroyed. Elt reveals a large catch of fish in the basket. Surprising the boy, they identify the fish as rare rainbow fish, known for their magical scales. The boy and Elt discuss how these fish are impossible to catch with normal bait, explaining why they weren't biting earlier. The boy reflects that Tedatoka's herb ball is potent bait, not his own doing. He explains the rainbow fish are inedible but have many special properties, with scales that grow and fall out continuously. He notes the scales contain magic power and can be used as raw materials, feeling a faint magical energy from one in his hand. The orange color of the scales is good for fertilizing, used by crushing them to help plants grow better. The boy realizes the scales have that ability but notes the ones still attached to the fish lack enough magic power and are useless unless they fall off naturally. He feels the ability suits his domain perfectly but admits he doesn't know how to raise the fish or what equipment is needed, so he decides to release them for now. He offers the scales to Tedatoka, who watches intently from the ground. She drools, saying they look incredibly delicious, surprising him. He tells her she can eat the scales as payment for the herb ball. Tedatoka reacts excitedly, almost overwhelmed. Tedatoka crunches and chews the scales, describing the taste as like biscuits. The boy asks how it tastes, and she says it doesn't taste like much but feels delicious to chew, suggesting it might be good with jam on top. The boy comments on her specific example, and a cat-like figure happily offers some jam to Tedatoka, encouraging her to eat it with the jam. The boy decides to save the rest of the scales for later, planning to bring some home and investigate the lake further. He notes that rainbow fish likely aren't the only creatures living in the lake and resolves to explore it to find anything else useful. By the shimmering lake, the boy remarks that today was fun, and the cat-like figure eagerly agrees. The boy notices something and turns his head, while the flower-crowned dryad quietly observes the scene. The boy cautiously asks Tedatoka if she has changed somehow. She cheerfully admits her flower has grown larger, and though he notices she's a bit taller, she proudly declares that bigger flowers mean greater status among dryads. The boy contemplates that flowers reflect a dryad's social standing, and Tedatoka explains that larger flowers allow them to harness more of the earth's power. Surprised, he questions if this is all because of the scales she ate, and she excitedly agrees, prompting him to suggest finding a way to mass-produce the scales so she can eat as many as she wants. Night falls as a cat-like figure and a woman discuss how the potion supply to Zanzas is improving, ensuring the territory's continued development. The woman reveals she has a list of people wanting to migrate, promising to check it later. The cat-like figure explains a legend about a territory's land and used for hundreds of years and expresses a desire to investigate it with the locals. The woman acknowledges a living example of such a legend right before them, but the exhausted girl on the couch asks to wait until she has the energy to act. The cat-like figure insists she rest, but the girl apologizes, unable to help yet. The woman recalls being somewhat prepared for this, mentioning 10 gold dust autographs given on the highest quality paper. The cat-like figure notes the Adventurers Guild was overjoyed and promised to make those autographs family heirlooms. The girl collapses back onto the couch, murmuring how fantastic it is to rest. The cat-like figure urges her to focus on resting today. The woman rummages through supplies, admitting she also wants to rest a little. She laughs, explaining she couldn't make any potions inside the carriage due to the shaky ride. The cat-like figure agrees it was quite shaky and announces that until they depart for Elt's territory, Everyone is free to do as they please. The Dryad's crops are already bearing fruit, surprising the cat-like companion. The Dryad explains that tomatoes, lettuce, bell peppers, and cucumbers grow regardless of the season. They were surprised that humans have an off-season for plants, but as plant experts, they manage well. The cat-like figure reflects on how this is the Dryad's way. The once empty field is now full of greenery, astonishing the cat-like companion. The Dryad warns that growing too many heelberries would drain the earth's power, causing crops to become limp and flappy. The cat-like figure considers this might explain recent crop failures and promises to consult Elt about where and how much to grow. The Dryad and the cat-like companion enjoy the mud bath service, feeling the earth's comforting touch. The cat-like figure complains about shedding fur, emphasizing the importance of their coat. The Dryad suggests taking a mud bath soon, both feeling the earth's good energy. The Dryad rummages through supplies, promising to try something during the next break. Excited, she eagerly offers to pencil the cat-like companion into her plans, who happily agrees. The three express relief that the mission went smoothly without major issues. The cat-like figure praises the success of planting the seeds of partnership. Crediting the choice of Stella for the mission, the elf agrees, noting the negotiations ended well thanks to her presence. The man thanks everyone, especially Stella, for their hard work and offers a special bonus as a sincere reward. The cat-like figure gratefully accepts, while the elf looks on quietly, and Stella seems surprised by the gesture. Stella hesitates, saying she has already received too much in other ways, but the man insists it's an appropriate reward for the business trip. He suggests erecting some of the legendary Stella statues in the territory if she won't accept the bonus. Flustered, Stella finally accepts with thanks. The man proposes reviewing the list of migrants, with the cat-like figure ready to assist. He notes the core group consists of 40 craftsmen. As they prepare, the man reflects on how meeting new people always makes him nervous. Nearby, a crowd reacts with surprise and curiosity at the sight of dryads buried in the ground, hoping any misunderstandings will be resolved quickly. The man explains that ichthyologists and hydrologists are investigating a lake untouched for centuries. Botanists and forest explorers will continue studying the forest. A request from Zanzas asks about the village's official name. He offers to guide them to the lake soon. He ponders the need for a public name but wonders what would suit it. The cat-like figure confirms towns are usually named after famous people or local specialties. The man recalls Zanzas is named after an old adventurer. The elf reacts with shock upon hearing there was once a push to rename Zanzas to Stella. The man finds naming the town after himself embarrassing and considers local specialties instead. The man states that when it comes to local specialties, only one thing fits. They look out a window at the forest, and a box of harvested fruit is shown. The scene shifts to the first crop growing on a tree branch, emphasizing the village's produce. The man decides Heelberry Village will probably be a fitting name. The view expands to show the village nestled in the lush landscape, surrounded by trees and hills. As he smiles confidently, the elf quietly declares the village's name as Heelberry Village. Her eyes wide with hope, the cat-like figure enthusiastically agrees, calling it perfect, while others nearby share the excitement, their voices full of joy. Inside a cozy room, a young man stretches and yawns after waking from a nap. Noting how it always puts him in a good mood, he looks out the window thoughtfully. Reflecting that the name Heelberry Village is simple but fitting, he smiles, confident the name will gradually attract attention. A breakfast of salad and corn soup is served, and the young man thanks Wood, who is steadily improving at handling more complex tasks. He clenches his fist, acknowledging that today marks an important day for their territory. Outside, the young man greets everyone cheerfully, noting their fired-up energy. The cat-like figure and others respond warmly, ready to work hard. He expresses gratitude that Zanzas wants to publicize their cooperation, anticipating that increased foot traffic will bring more life to the village. A young elf girl rubs a piece of lumber, marveling at how good it feels to touch. She asks if it's really that good, and a young man confirms, urging her to acknowledge its awesomeness. The elf happily hammers the wood with nimble skill, impressing a nearby cat-like figure who notes her talent as a carpenter. The village buzzes with activity as many work on crafting with lumber and flowers, the raw materials for billboards. The young man admits he needs more practice with such tasks and asks for more red paint. A cat-like figure agrees to make safflowers immediately, explaining their use as a red dye since ancient times. The young man holds a bunch of vibrant safflowers, examining them carefully. The cat-like figure happily explains their importance, while the young man reflects thoughtfully, preparing to use them for the billboards. A wooden signpost points the way to Heelberry Village. 3 days by horse from Zanzas. Nearby, villagers sit and work, while the young man praises the mud bath drawing on a billboard. Noting it turned out nicely, a cat-like figure thanks him warmly. though he admits feeling like something is missing. The young man suggests adding a drawing of a dryad to the billboard, sparking a moment of thought for the girl sketching. She suddenly realizes this was the missing element and thanks him enthusiastically. The final panel reveals the completed billboard gleaming with the new design. Thanks to the billboards, Heelberry Village's reputation has spread further, with part of the credit going to the travelers. Rumors circulate that being buried in the village's dirt improves health, promoting it as a health spa with more mud baths. The young man and a cat-like companion observe the scene thoughtfully. Several days later, the young man watches the steady flow of visitors to the mud baths. Noting the increase since the signs were set up, a cat-like figure arrives excitedly with a letter from the Adventurer Guild, addressing the young man by name. Inside, the letter requests 50 cure paralysis potions and a commission for Stella. The young man questions the details, while the cat-like figure explains the commission involves defeating lightning spirits in the forbidden section of Zanza's labyrinth. They describe the spirits as magical, living lightning balls that move as if alive. The cat-like figure explains that the lightning balls attack with a paralyzing strike that passes through metal, requiring paralysis cure potions to survive. The young man wonders why Stella is requested by name, learning she once advanced far into that dangerous area. Stella insists it was just a fluke she encountered lightning balls before, while the young man questions the reason for challenging the area, noting the geography has changed and the letter gives no explanation. The cat-like figure reveals lightning balls stem from lightning crystals, magical stones that explode on impact with monsters. The young man acknowledges the Adventurers Guild has long desired to conquer the second floor, but the lightning ball area blocks them. He asks Stella if she wants to take on the challenge. She admits it is a regret of hers and expresses a desire to conquer it if possible. The young man agrees to accept the commission with the condition that Stella must not do anything reckless and must return safely. Stella asks what the condition is, and he warns her firmly to be careful and come back unharmed. He states firmly that his condition is for her to return safely. The elf woman's eyes sparkle with determination as she responds with a resolute yes. Nearby, a smiling woman encourages progress, confident that everyone will improve little by little. A caption notes the setting as Heelberry Village, home to 40 residents including craftsmen and adventurers from Zanza's, with a total population of 143. The young man asks for help with paralysis healing potions and requests assistance cultivating heal mangoes. The dryads eagerly agree to help. A close-up reveals a worldwide shortage of heal mangoes, and magic to grow them demands far more power than even the large treehouse or great tree tower can provide. He reflects that making even 50 mangoes would take at least a month, as his magic isn't strong enough to create status-healing berries either. He offers rainbow fish scales to the dryads, asking them to use the scales to increase the yield of heal mangoes. The dryad happily accepts the task. The dryad smiles, ready to improve the mango harvest, while the young man leaves the decision of how to use the scales to them. The young man asks the dryad if she has any thoughts on the dungeon issue. She ponders quietly, then wonders if wood would be paralyzed if struck by lightning. He explains that treemen, being made of wood, have high paralysis resistance. He considers that with his current magic power, he could probably handle the dungeon himself but would prefer Stella to accompany him if possible. Nearby, the elf woman swings a large wooden club with force, prompting the young man to comment on her vigorous practice. She calls out to him, and he tells her not to mind him as he approaches. The scene ends with her continuing her training, while he holds out a mango, smiling warmly. The young man observes the dryad swinging her wooden club with the force and technique of a baseball batter. She explains that lightning balls are small, about the size of a fist, and that the monsters try to ram their targets. Aiming between chest and knee, she demonstrates how to turn the body and strike when the lightning balls come flying at you. The dryad emphasizes the importance of moving quickly and calmly along the body's axis, instructing the young man to watch her movements closely. He realizes that lightning balls are like baseballs, and practicing hitting thrown balls would be useful. She plans to make balls stuffed with leather and cotton, along with mitts and catchers, to improve training efficiency, and will give them to Stella once finished. The scene shifts to the heal mango field in front of the great tree tower, where the young man and a companion note that the mangoes will be ready for harvest soon. The companion assures that she will handle the tricky task of making paralysis healing potions, which are necessary beyond just growing the mangoes. She asks to be trusted with the responsibility, smiling confidently. Nearby, the dryad Tedatoka happily waters the mango trees, humming a tune. The young man greets her and comments that the heal mango cultivation is going well. Tedatoka wonders aloud about the harvest, struggling to reach some mangoes. The young man reassures her not to worry and promises to ask the adventurers for help with the harvest. The dryad cheerfully explains that the people buried nearby come here daily because they enjoy being buried as much as dryads do. A small figure warns to mind how she says it. The group watches the peaceful faces of those buried, shining in the earth. The young man questions if this is really true, and the dryad laughs, confirming it with a smile. A messenger announces that a letter has arrived from the Adventurers Guild. The young man, Lord Elt, accepts it and reads that the guild is deeply grateful for their cooperation. The letter says the guild master herself wishes to visit and express thanks personally. Elt decides to write a reply immediately, emphasizing the importance of mingling and welcoming them with all their might. The next day, a rest day for the territory, the Dryad warmly welcomes Elt. She notices he seems different from usual and asks if something is wrong. Elt is silent for a moment, surprised by her observation, but then denies any problem. The Dryad playfully asks if Elt likes the outfit Analia chose for her. Elt, blushing, admits he accidentally spoke his mind. She smiles brightly, and he compliments how well it suits her. He reflects that he promised Stella he'd try her cooking today, as she wanted his opinion on her unusual dishes that the locals don't eat. Yet, he wonders how good Stella really is at cooking. She presents a traditional elf dish called Ice Dragon's Fong. Revealing it is shaved ice made with magic tools bought from Noel. Using the clear local water, he tastes it, finding it delicious, and she sighs in relief. He asks why she sought his opinion, noting some others also avoid usual foods. She explains that unlike their home, here they can enjoy many fruits and vegetables, which makes her happy. She wonders if they could call fellow elves to come here, as they originally lived surrounded by trees and ate mainly fruits and vegetables. He agrees, wanting to expand the village. She beams with hope, and he praises the food again. He reflects that cultural and custom differences between races are larger than expected, and that significant differences with the elves will surely arise. Still, immigrants are always welcome, and it would be great if they like the environment. He smiles, thinking more immigrants from beyond Zanzas will come. After finishing the meal, he thanks her and steps outside. He notices a lively gathering of villagers and wonders what they are doing. The Dryad praises him for noticing the difference in the crowd, calling it amazing. The Dryad Tedatoka cheerfully greets Elt and Brown, who respond warmly. Elt notices Tedatoka seems excited and asks about it quietly. She whispers that they got their hands on some good dirt, sharing the secret between them. Elt repeats the word, dirt, in confusion. Brown confirms it's dirt, showing crates filled with it. Tedatoka explains it's dirt mixed with a high-class fertilizer they made themselves. Elt realizes they bought the dirt from elsewhere. He asks if the gold coin he gave was used to buy the dirt. Tedatoka confirms, saying fertilizer and treats are luxury items for dryads like rainbow fish scales before. Brown says he asked many times if this was really what she wanted, and Tedatoka insists it was. Elt inquires about the exact kind of dirt. Brown shows a handful, explaining it's mixed with cockatrice eggshells and finely ground medicinal herbs. Tedatoka holds the dirt, noting its good feel and distinct smell. Elt sniffs it and acknowledges it's dirt. Tedatoka happily says she wants to hurry and get buried in it already, while Elt smiles, understanding the value and significance of the dirt. A cheerful woman greets Elt and asks what's happening. Elt explains they were discussing the arrival of the special dirt. She laughs, happy the dirt finally came, and confirms it was made exactly by the Horticulture Guild's recipe. Elt reacts with surprise, questioning the phrase at last and wonders if even Analia was involved. The woman excitedly asks if there's dirt for her houseplants too, and Elt confirms there is. He reflects uneasily that he had only thought of dirt as something for burying people. Nearby, Tedatoka and others cheerfully invite everyone to line up and get buried in the dirt, enjoying the peaceful atmosphere. The narration explains the dryads take turns getting buried in the high-class dirt, never thinking selfishly about it. Afterwards, adventurers also want to try the mud bath, taking turns properly to enjoy it. The scene shows dryads happily soaking and adventurers waiting their turn. A man calls out to Elt, inviting him to a barbecue celebrating the high-class mud bath. Elt wonders about the barbecue, then gladly accepts the invitation, pondering the significance of the celebration. Vegetables sizzle on the grill as they enjoy a barbecue. The vegetables taste delicious because they're grown locally, filling them with bliss. The sweet and sour sauce perfectly complements the vegetables, making the meal feel luxurious and satisfying. The group relaxes around the fire, appreciating the peaceful gathering. One suggests trying fried fruit next, which excites everyone. Fresh bananas and apples are brought out with a flourish, promising a new treat. Slices of fruit grill over the fire, filling the air with enticing aromas. The host asks if the fruit tastes good, and the group eagerly enjoys it, their faces lighting up with delight. The cat-eared girl admits she struggles with hot food but finds it delicious and asks for more. The host happily offers to prepare plenty more, encouraging everyone to eat as much as they want. The scene closes with the group savoring their meal, reflecting that sweet things are delicious no matter the world they're in. Shortly thereafter, Stella, Brown, Wood, and others join the gathering as the barbecue continues until nightfall. The narrator reflects on never having shared a meal with so many since arriving in this world and feels they got along well with almost everyone during this holiday, calling it a truly fun barbecue. A sealed letter is handed over with instructions to handle it carefully. A reply has been sent to the Adventurers Guild in Zanzi's, and if all goes well, the Guildmaster will visit in 1 week's time. The narrator wishes to give the Guildmaster a magnificent welcome but is unsure how much can be done, resolving to at least offer the Guildmaster all the healthy things available, vegetables, fruit, and mud baths. The narrator agrees to prepare for the upcoming visit. Brown greets cheerfully, holding a bag with the balls Elt requested. Elt asks if the balls inside are the ones he asked for, and Brown confirms they finished the prototypes. Brown admits he couldn't resist wanting someone to throw the balls badly, despite it being a day off. Stella appears, swinging a bat, and Brown greets her. Stella explains she made the balls to resemble lightning balls but ate too much at the barbecue yesterday. Elt realizes the purpose behind the balls as he holds one, while Brown watches eagerly. Elt throws a ball with enthusiasm, and Brown cheers loudly in delight. Elt feels relieved that the practice was fun, while Stella watches from behind a tree, curious about the noise. The group of adventurers practices throwing the balls under Elt's guidance, preparing for the lightning balls. Elt also works on making paralysis healing potions to support them. Time passes quickly, and a week goes by as they continue training and preparing. The guild master of the Adventurers Guild, Leia, expresses her gratitude for the warm reception. Elt introduces himself as the lord of the territory, welcoming her to the village in return. Elt observes Leia closely, noting she hides any exhaustion despite her long journey by horse carriage, marking her as a skilled individual. He reflects on the Zanzi's Adventurers Guild's impeccable organization and risk management, which has prevented any fatalities for 200 years. He feels thankful for their professionalism, as it reassures him about cooperating with the guild. Leia and Elt admire the towering tree structures in the village, marveling at the magic that created such large living buildings. Elt explains that while the magic is wondrous, it requires fertile soil to sustain, which their territory fortunately has. Leia listens thoughtfully, impressed by the magical feat. She compliments Elt's impressive magical power for his age and inquires about the progress of his paralysis healing potion production. Elt confirms they should meet the request within a week. Leia praises his rapid production, calling it truly wonderful. Elt then turns his attention to the next area, which he considers somewhat troublesome. The scene of buried dryads leaves a strong visual impression, though a temporary ban on the burial practice during Leia's visit was considered but dismissed. Leia quietly absorbs the sight, while the other explains that dryads bury themselves in the ground. They observe the dryads, noting the flowers growing atop their heads. The dryads are just sleeping, not dead, resting soundly. It's explained that this time submerged in earth is akin to prayer, an important ritual for them. A group of dryads is being watered, which might look like penance but is simply them praying extra hard. Leia wonders if this is related to the rumored mud baths. The other reassures her, relieved she understands the custom, while she questions if such rituals suit those faint of heart or spirit. Two adventurers soak in the mud baths, their skin glossy and hair healthier than before. The woman asks if the man recognized them instantly, and he admits he never forgets a face, even among many adventurers. The hero is asked if she would like to try the village's specialty when a spot opens up, and she reacts with surprise and excitement. The offer is repeated politely, and she gratefully accepts without hesitation. The narrator reflects that the guild master's visit was a great success, noting how grateful Leia was and how interested she was in the mud bath. Later, after Leia's return, an aquarium for raising rainbow fish is sent as thanks, prompting plans to start fish farming. The aquarium is unveiled, sparkling and impressive. A cat-like villager estimates its cost at about 20 gold coins. Noting its expense, the hero asks how much such an aquarium would cost, and the villager explains its value would be even higher if ornamented. The villager explains the aquarium includes magical tools for water purification and oxygenation, praising the craftsmanship as something impossible to make in Zanzi's. The hero considers this, realizing that raising rainbow fish is not well understood locally. They resolve to start from scratch and experiment with raising the fish themselves. They decide to experiment with raising rainbow fish by the lake using the herb balls obtained from Tedatoka, agreeing to research various related methods together. The scene shifts to a dense forest near the lake. The cat-like villager remarks on the ambitious nature of raising those fish, noting that Elt is operating on a whole different level. The hero reflects on the potential to harvest many scales if successful. The villager warns that while the returns could be great, the financial risk is also high, and few would dare such an endeavor. Tedatoka listens thoughtfully. Tedatoka happily asks if they are going to the lake again, and the hero admits they want to eat more of the fish scales. The hero smiles knowingly, realizing the trip is partly to satisfy Tedatoka's appetite. The lake glistens peacefully as the group prepares. the cat-like villager announces the assembly is complete. The hero asks everyone to step back and thanks them. He summons a giant wooden arm that rumbles to life, surprising the group with its size and power. The cat-like villager and Tedatoka marvel at the enormous wooden arm summoned by the hero, praising the incredible spell. The giant wood arm, a large plant magic construct, moves within several meters as commanded. The hero confirms it's safe to submerge the aquarium in the lake, and the villager agrees, recalling the manual's instructions. The hero decides to place the entire aquarium into the lake. The hero instructs Tedatoka to put a herb ball inside the aquarium, which she eagerly does. The giant wooden arm carefully lowers the aquarium into the water with a rumbling sound. The hero notes that the process seems to be going well as the aquarium settles into the lake. Fish quickly gather around the aquarium, drawn to the herb ball inside. The cat-like villager notes how crazy the fish are for the food. The hero explains that they should wait before pulling the aquarium up since there are too many fish inside right now. The villager praises the hero's magic as amazing. The hero agrees to pull the aquarium up once the fish numbers decrease slightly. The hero explains that plant magic isn't suited for combat and has many shortcomings, but few can perform feats like this. He reflects that the magic is knowledge from his previous life, something he worked hard to master, and appreciates the compliment. He suggests passing the time with the herb ball while waiting for the rainbow fish to calm down. The villager is flustered and excited as the hero holds up the herb ball, confirming it as the key to their plan. Wood throws a ball, cheering as the cat-like villager runs excitedly after it, shouting with joy. 30 minutes later, the white rose dryad marvels at the sparkling fish, noting one has a golden color. Wood and the villager observe the fish, realizing it might be a unique specimen. Wood explains that animals absorbing a lot of magic can become particularly strong uniques, confirming they hit a jackpot. The dryad's eyes shine with wonder at the sight. Wood picks up a golden scale that sparkles in his hand. While the dryad watches eagerly, he offers the scale to her, allowing only one, which she gratefully accepts and begins to eat. The dryad happily exclaims the scale tastes stronger and better. Wood asks if it was different, and the villager agrees it was a bit different. A man with glasses explains the aquarium's water flow and purification prevents stress for the fish. Wood inquires if bringing the fish home is a problem, but the man assures him it's fine. The man with glasses explains they will first try raising the fish in the aquarium, then possibly raise more if successful. He finds the youth's wisdom impressive, noting he seems much wiser than his nephew and niece despite being only 15. The youth admits a bit of memory from a previous life runs in his family. The narration reveals the Nagash family, nicknamed the Cunning Snakes, has emphasized sagacity, thrift, and rationality for generations, though most people don't think much of his exploits. The Nagashes would indeed do something like this. The youth declines help carrying the aquarium back, warning it will be hard work. The group insists, saying the task will be easy and to work them harder. He smiles, deciding to depend on them when moving the aquarium again and promises beer treats once they get home. The group cheers enthusiastically, rallying to bring the aquarium home carefully and without swinging it. The day all the paralysis cure potions were finished, Hero Stella and Wood set off for Zanz's. They leave on a cart, while another watches them go, feeling a bit worried since it's the first time separated from Wood but knowing there's work to do. They expect to return in about half a month. At the aquarium, the dryad and Wood inspect the fish, noting no problems and that the fish are eating well and shedding scales regularly. The dryad confirms the fish only eat the herb balls made by the dryads, not normal fish food. Wood wonders why. Wood considers that since the heel mangoes have finished growing, they now have free time. He asks if the fish can detect which species made the herb balls. Realizing they need a way to mass-produce the feed, the dryad happily agrees they can make more herb balls. Wood orders an additional fish tank to be prepared. He offers a herb ball to the dryad as a snack, asking if it tastes good. She crunches it happily but then shyly asks if he wants some. Wood nervously declines, smiling as she eats the treat. Tedatoka's eyes sparkle as she silently offers the herb ball, pressing Wood to try it too. Under her cheerful insistence, Wood nervously accepts, crunching the treat with surprise as he finds it tasty despite his hesitation. She gleefully confirms the herb balls are delicious. While Wood notes a mild spiciness that doesn't overwhelm, he thanks her sincerely, realizing the herb balls are more like a snack. He reflects on the need to verify everything carefully in this unfamiliar world. Wood notices a sudden influx of new information in his mind after leaving Tedatoka's place. He senses something like magic but different, identifying it as the power of the Dryad's LV1. The realization strikes him with clarity and surprise. He questions if the power came from eating the herb ball scale, recalling that power of the Dryads is a rare skill normally earned only through a specific questline in the game. He understands this should not have been possible to obtain so easily. pondering the false equivalency between magic and skills in this world. He reflects on how he is focused on learning all the magic he could to increase his power, but there are skills he wants that he never expected to obtain so easily in this world. The method to gain them is completely different from the games. He recalls that Power of the Dryads is a skill that boosts farming production. Wondering how to confirm its effects, he decides to start by getting buried in dirt. He lies buried in dirt, noting they tried planting a seedling nearby but he can't feel any power. The Dryad cheerfully offers to water him too, but he protests that's going too far. She laughs it off as a pity. They discuss what Dryads usually do besides this, guessing they take naps or eat fish scales. He suddenly realizes it's probably related to farming and remembers the herb balls. Excited, he says there's a way to judge that one. Together, they knead the herb balls, the Dryad emphasizing how important proper kneading is. He puts his all into it, and she explains that properly kneading herb balls is a mark of a Dryad of age. Suddenly, he bites into one, surprised by the taste. He asks if it's alright to eat some herb balls while making them, and the Dryad cheerfully agrees, saying it's fine if the maker is hungry. He thinks how lenient she is as he kneads the herb balls with effort. Suddenly, he senses something unusual. He feels something move from inside his body into the herb ball and wonders if something is wrong. The Dryad asks if he's figured out the trick already. He questions what the trick is, and she explains that a Dryad of age transfers something into the herb ball during kneading, completing it. He reflects on the power of the Dryads, realizing he has become a herb ball master. He wonders if the rainbow fish will eat the herb ball. Though unsure why the Dryad's power affects herb ball making, he is grateful if it helps raise many rainbow fish in the village. He decides the number of herb balls made is enough for now and thanks the Dryad Tetetoka. She happily suggests doing this again. He plans to bring the herb balls to the fish tank for starters. A woman nearby expresses disbelief, noting that such skills are said to be difficult for even nobility to acquire. The cat-eared girl reminds him that acquiring such a skill is nearly impossible, and he reflects on how only a few are taught, maintaining a monopoly on the knowledge. He decides it's time to test if the herb ball truly holds the Dryad's power and nervously prepares to see if the fish will eat it. The fish begin nibbling the herb ball, confirming it works. Excitement builds as they realize the skill was successfully obtained, and he feels relieved and proud. He then mentions having something important to discuss with the two. He asks if they will eat the scale he offers, but they hesitate, unwilling to do so. He explains that courage is needed to consume it, and the two feel honored to have the chance to obtain such a skill. When asked if he will eat the scale himself, he confirms with a solemn vow not to tell anyone. The two eagerly promise the same secrecy. He expresses relief, hopeful that acquiring this skill will solve their fish feed problems once and for all. They knead dough together quietly, the cat-eared girl noting how strange it is that the phrase Power of the Dryads LV1 suddenly popped into her head. She recalls a high school friend explaining that words can just come out. Realizing this is what they meant, the boy observes that this moment feels the same for everyone and declares their task complete. The boy explains that now people other than the Dryads can make herb balls to feed the rainbow fish, allowing more people to learn the skill and increase fish food production. He outlines plans to expand the number of tanks and scale production, expecting a great increase in crops from next year. If they can't use all the fish scale fertilizer, they can sell the excess, all to develop his territory further. The scene shifts to Labyrinth City Zanzas, bustling with more people than before, hinting at a festival or event. The large creature wonders about a sign's meaning, while the group, including the hero and an elf girl, notices the crowd's excitement. The elf girl is surprised by the turnout, and the hero smiles, sensing the lively atmosphere. The elf girl reads a notice announcing Hero Stella's upcoming challenge to unexplored territory with a big attack, along with sightseeing tours for the event. The hero explains many want to follow adventures safely, so arrangements will keep distractions away. The large creature insists it's better to watch the event up close, while the hero promises to ensure the group won't be disturbed. The dungeon in Zanzas is known as the most difficult in the world, and despite nearly 1,000 years since its discovery, its lowest floor remains unconquered. An elf reflects on how, after hundreds of years without deaths, people now casually tour the dungeon. Marking a change in times, she decides to leave the safer, non-dangerous areas to others, noting that delving into dungeons is human nature. Another girl excitedly suggests selling mantles embroidered with that phrase, sparking a lively reaction about whether people would want that. Each floor of the dungeon distorts reality and contains an inexplicably vast space, with each floor hosting its own unique area. The first floor is called the Meadow of Death Birds, a wide, open field marked by a sign. A group of A-rank adventurers, including the elf and her companions, catch their breath in the meadow. The elf asks if everyone is all right. Noting they haven't gone far, one companion apologizes for feeling down, worried about the monsters in the area, but reassures that sticking to the route will keep them safe. as no one has died or been gravely injured here for hundreds of years. Suddenly, a large creature stomps nearby, prompting a shout to stop it. A huge, fluffy cockatrice appears, its heavy footsteps thundering as it approaches. The adventurers react with surprise and fear, while the elf beams at the creature's cuteness despite the danger. The new monster's arrival signals a fresh challenge ahead. Two fluffy birds bounce along the ground, their soft footsteps thudding rhythmically. Suddenly, they collide with a gentle slam, their faces pressed together. The elf smiles warmly, sighing that they're so cute and soothing, but her companion shudders, disagreeing. Behind them, a group of adventurers notes the multiple A-rank monsters ahead, calling the scene rather hellish. The elf explains cockatrices are herbivores that won't attack people, thinking everything that moves is a friend to hug. The group reacts nervously, one exclaiming that's the problem. The elf reassures that as fluffy as they are, they won't hurt anyone unless provoked, and even then, they only hug too hard out of worry. The hero suggests having some A-rank adventurers accompany them to test their knowledge, acting as luggage carriers and reaction givers. The elf reflects on how this explains the reactions she's been getting. The elf watches the two birds peep softly, admitting she and Wood could probably defeat the ball of lightning alone. But it's fine, she sighs, captivated by how cute the cockatrices are, making her want one as a pet. The adventurers behind her look uneasy, realizing this is an S-rank adventurer's charm. The group arrives at a sparkling water area, where the elf invites everyone to take a brief rest and refresh themselves. The large creature happily splashes in the water, praising how clean and nice it feels. The elf notices the others look pale and asks if everyone is fine. One companion admits they're not fine, worried about the many cockatrices just nearby, questioning how the elf can stay so calm. The sparkling water is filled with adorable creatures, prompting an exhausted elf to smile warmly, calling them cuties. Despite reassurances that cockatrices aren't dangerous, a companion worries about the town evacuating if A-rank monsters appear, feeling overwhelmed by the situation. Suddenly, a cockatrice emerges from the bushes, startling the group into battle readiness. The elf urgently pleads for calm, asking everyone not to move. Stepping forward, the elf advises against provoking the cockatrice, explaining that noise would attract others. She reassures them since this one is a child and won't hug like adult cockatrices, promising to handle it herself while offering a treat. The elf gently feeds the fluffy cockatrice, apologizing for intruding on its territory and promising a quick departure. She praises the creature as a good boy, demonstrating how to interact calmly, and the adventurers nervously agree to follow her lead. The group focuses on the cave entrance, where the second floor begins beyond the mountains of infinity. The leader reminds everyone to stay focused, noting that cockatrices won't appear past this point. So it's their turn now. The elf encourages the team with excitement and trust, and the others respond with determination. The scene shifts to the rugged terrain of the second floor, named the Mountains of Infinity. The elf explains the rules about warp balls. Getting hit won't hurt, but 3 hits within an hour will send them back to the entrance. As the warp balls approach, she urges the group to break through, and they begin running forward. The group catches their breath after the initial rush, with the elf praising their progress while one member admits it's harder than expected. The warp balls bounce rhythmically around them, and the elf finds the sound soothing, calming her nerves. The cockatrice beside her happily echoes the sentiment. The elf announces they have finally arrived at their destination. The adventurers enter the second layer's unexplored area, the habitat of the lightning spirits. The elf marvels at the beauty of the place, admitting it's her first visit, while appreciating the scenery. She hints there's more to this place than just its appearance. Nearby, a crackling, electrified object pulses with energy, drawing their attention. She grips the bat tightly, determination shining in her eyes, as she declares she'll try to hit it now that it has appeared. The electrified orb crackles with energy, catching her full attention as she focuses intently and shouts that she can see it. She swings and strikes the orb, sending sparks flying. The group cheers loudly, impressed by her success. She wipes her brow, relieved, then suggests continuing since only one orb appeared. Another volunteer offers to hit it next while she covers. They agree to aim for Cushion, the baseball stadium where the final tournament is held. She swings again with excitement, striking the orb cleanly. Suddenly, the orb reacts unexpectedly, smashing with force and surprising her mid-swing. A young mage confidently casts a spell, commanding, "Please leave it to me," as she unleashes a powerful water javelin that strikes the target with a splash. The elf expresses gratitude, relieved, while the mage praises Stella and Wood for their skill in hitting fast-moving enemies. The armored Wood crushes an enemy with a heavy blow. The elf remarks that paralysis barely affects Wood and praises his talent, saying he has the makings of a first-rate adventurer. The group notices the absence of lightning balls and sparkles. Growing quiet, the mage suggests they might be near the deepest part of the unexplored area, where lightning balls may not appear. The elf wonders if they have already defeated the lightning balls. The mage reasons that the lightning crystals, which attract the lightning balls, should be in the deepest part. Suddenly, the mage spots something glowing and alerts the group. They see a golem made of purple lightning crystal emerging, causing surprise and concern. The young mage assesses the enemy's power, noting it surpasses even a dragon she once defeated. She suspects the foe uses an electric barrier, rendering magic attacks ineffective. She hesitates, suggesting withdrawal might be the only option. The elf contemplates, uncertain but sensing they could still win. The mage nervously asks if retreat is their only choice. The elf remains thoughtful, unsure but leaning toward victory. The group discusses the enemy's defenses further. The elf explains that the lightning crystal is as hard as gold, making physical attacks weak. She asks if they can't approach due to constant electric discharges. Confidently, she declares faith in her throwing ability, preparing to act. Meanwhile, in Heelberry Village, the cat-like Brown happily carries balls. Eager to play, Wood notices and asks what Brown is doing. Brown cheerfully replies that he wants to play with the balls. Other cats gather excitedly, announcing that Elt is willing to join their play. Surprised by the crowd, Wood remarks on how many have gathered. Brown explains everyone wants to fetch the balls Wood throws. Wood smiles, understanding, and throws a ball. The cats enthusiastically chase after it, their joyful cries filling the air. The elf recalls how hero Stella was serious about practicing how to throw a ball, though she wonders if it will ever be useful. Suddenly, the shattered remains of the golem lie scattered, and astonishment fills the air as it's revealed Stella defeated the golem by throwing rocks and crystals. Stella proudly explains she learned how to throw from Elt, while a companion marvels at her noble skill. Stella notes they've reached the deepest part of the area and suggests picking up the lightning crystal from the golem to head home. She holds a glittering, rainbow-colored stone in her hand, amazed by its beauty. Reflecting on their success, Stella realizes they cleared an area no one has before, surrounded by crystals. Suddenly, a small bird-like creature rustles nearby and peeps, startling the group. Stella offers the little creature another herb ball, encouraging it to eat freely. The bird happily chomps and chews the treat, chirping in delight as Stella asks if it's good, sharing the herb balls with the others despite the small amount. Surrounded by fluffy, oversized cockatrice chicks, the elf girl beams with joy, exclaiming how soft they are. A new skill notification appears. Cockatrice Tamer Level 1, she smiles warmly, declaring this pure happiness, then looks curiously at the fluffy creatures. Back indoors, the girl presents a smooth, oval stone she found in the unexplored area to the young man. She explains it's neither a gem nor magical, so its worth is uncertain, though it holds value as an exhibit from the unexplored zone. The man contemplates thoughtfully. The man voices his unease, suspecting his knowledge from a past life's game relates to this. He lists warp balls, lightning balls, and cockatrices, then realizes the stone isn't a stone at all but the egg of a cockatrice queen, an outrageous treasure capable of changing the entire territory. The girl asks if the egg is related to cockatrices. Intrigued by the idea of a cockatrice queen, the young man explains the queen leads the pack, being larger and smarter than other cockatrices. She reacts with surprise, learning the queen rarely leaves the nest and is rarely seen. He mentions the queen is supposed to be a very docile monster and wonders if she knows how to hatch the egg. The girl eagerly slams the table, insisting they must try. He notes her strong motivation but says they can't do it right now. The boy explains that hatching the egg requires the cockatrice tamer skill, so they must find someone with that skill first. The girl gasps in surprise, then beams happily, revealing she obtained the skill while returning from the dungeon. He looks surprised and remarks that the tamer skill is supposed to be very difficult to obtain. He recalls that in the game, one had to feed tameable monsters continuously, sometimes up to 10,000 times, to get the tamer skill. The girl looks puzzled as he comments on her having fed cockatrices 10,000 times. The scene shifts to a cozy room labeled Analia's house, where a fluffy cockatrice chick rests on a table near the egg. The boy explains their goal to hatch the cockatrice queen's egg, noting neither of the two girls opposes raising monsters. The girl with cat ears eagerly offers her full support, while the other insists it's prestigious to raise monsters but requires magic or skills. The cat-eared girl excitedly shares that cockatrices are the mascot of Zanzas, surprising the boy who wonders if that's true. The cat-eared girl cuddles a cockatrice plushie, marveling at how cute they are and mentioning the abundance of such plushies in gift shops. The boy explains that cockatrice feathers are valuable and adventurers collect dropped feathers. He promises to explain what's needed to hatch the egg. He lists the requirements. A potion made from medicinal herbs, pajamas made from cockatrice feathers, high-quality straw, and plenty of magic power. He plans to have Analia prepare the potion, expecting to be ready within a week. He also mentions the need to prepare a suitable environment for the hatchling. The girl excitedly agrees to help and suggests they could become friends. The boy adds they'll need lots of vegetables and herb balls, which Stella said the hatchlings like. He also considers holding a class to teach adventurers how to make herb balls. The girl happily accepts the tasks, prompting the boy to thank her for the help. He begins watering her with a watering can, which she enjoys immensely, exclaiming it feels heavenly. The boy contemplates creating 2 places for the hatchlings, one sheltering them from rain and another open space to run around, using plant magic to craft these environments. They discuss a place for the cockatrices, deciding the area near water and tree shade suits them best since they dislike heat. The boy wonders if it's better to keep them outside the village, but the girl explains cockatrices like hugging people, so this spot is ideal. The boy casts magic to grow a great treehouse, which creaks as it expands and transforms into a large, leafy structure with round windows and doors. The group stands in awe before the finished treehouse. The boy praises the magic's effect, and the girl admires the spacious interior. He asks if the empty space inside is suitable, and the girl enthusiastically agrees. They plan to take care of the interior and gather necessary items, with some adventurers from farming families helping. The boy asks the feudal lord for a favor to turn an unused spot into a second town square. The lord agrees, noting the current square is cramped for ball games. The boy realizes the new space is intended for baseball practice and hopes to teach new adventurers arriving from Zanzas to play freely there. The boy smiles, pleased that the pitching and batting lessons are finally taking hold, calling baseball magnificent. The cat insists teaching official rules would complicate the sport and reduce its fun, so they let the newcomers simply enjoy throwing and hitting. The boy reflects that patience is key with such things. Several days pass as the boy gathers information from adventurers knowledgeable about cockatrices and their needs. A letter arrives from Leia, prompting excitement. The boy reads her gratitude for their cooperation in conquering the unexplored area and the deep appreciation from Zanza's residents. The boy examines the letter further, noting Leia's market strategy includes sending a specially made mantle as a memento. He realizes Leia, being a merchant, likely plans to build a market for various goods. The boy rummages through the package, impressed by how quickly this agreement progressed. The cat and the girl react with surprise and curiosity at the mantle and its included explanation. The cat explains it bears famous quotes from hero Stella, showing her love for the cockatrice mascot and plans to produce paintings of her playing with them. The mantle slogan is intended as the Adventurers Guild's official motto next year. Both express a desire to wear it, while the boy wonders if Stella is some kind of idol. The boy agrees that if hero Stella has no problem with the mantle, it should sell well, while the cat enthusiastically echoes this. Yet he worries Stella might go overboard from too much attention, deciding to ask her what she wants next time. 2 days later, the girl beams in a fluffy pajama made from cockatrice feathers, delighted by its softness. The boy explains the need to stay put until the egg hatches, as the pajama was crafted from feathers obtained by a knoll. He continues, detailing the process. First, letting a potion seep into the shell, then pouring a large amount of magic power into it. The final step requires someone skilled as a cockatrice tamer to warm the egg. The girl marvels at the wonder of it all, confirming she just needs to wear the pajama while holding the egg. Gently cradling the egg, she settles in for the night, dreaming quietly. The boy watches over her as darkness falls, the quiet hope of the eggs hatching filling the room. The boy reflects quietly, realizing the girl's dream was always to have a cockatrice as a pet. He acknowledges her eagerness and promises her dream will come true soon. The girl, still nestled in her fluffy costume, expresses heartfelt gratitude and happiness for living here. Suddenly, the egg begins to crack, startling her. The egg breaks open rapidly, surprising both of them. They watch intently as the shell fragments fall away, revealing what's inside. A small, round creature emerges from the egg, calling out to its parents. Both the boy and girl are shocked to hear it speak. The small creature excitedly calls the girl mother, who blushes in embarrassment, while the boy hears it say father and is startled. The creature jumps eagerly, demanding to be petted. The boy hesitantly reaches out, touched by how cute and warm the creature feels. The girl asks the creature to pet her too, and the boy awkwardly encourages her. Both gently stroke the creature, which begins to doze off peacefully in their hands. They lie close together, sharing a quiet, tender moment. The girl softly whispers to the boy, asking him to stay with them through the night for the child's sake. The creature murmurs, "Father, mother." As they all settle down, the boy agrees, noting the child won't feel lonely this way, and they prepare to sleep side by side. The boy lies down comfortably next to the girl and the creature. Exhaling deeply, they decide to rest now and think about the cockatrice queen tomorrow. The three of them drift off to sleep together, peaceful and content. Morning breaks with birds singing as the boy greets Stella, who slowly wakes and responds softly. She stirs in her fluffy costume, greeting him back with a gentle smile. Suddenly, she gasps, startled by the small creature sitting nearby, both locking eyes in surprise. Flustered, Stella begs him not to look at her messy hair. Embarrassed, the boy apologizes for staring, explaining he didn't mean to. The small creature opens its eyes and chirps, calling out to them as father and mother. They warmly greet it in return. The creature admits it's hungry, prompting the boy to prepare breakfast. He explains the cockatrice's favorite food consists of leaves and nuts from a petrified tree, specially ordered from Zanzaz's labyrinth. The creature eagerly devours the meal, expressing delight and satisfaction as the boy watches relieved. They discuss naming the cockatrice queen, with the boy mentioning he's considered many suggestions. He explains the importance of choosing a name with proper origin and impact on their world. Stella listens eagerly, excited to hear his decision as they share a hopeful smile. The small creature is named Dia, meaning a son in ancient Elvish. The girl happily declares the name suits her perfectly, and Dia chirps in delight, recognizing it as her own. Dia glows with excitement, confirming she loves her name. The boy feels relieved seeing her happy and eager to eat more. Dia senses someone nearby, and the boy notes that everyone must be waking up around now. The boy invites Dia to greet the newcomers, though he hesitates because Dia is just a newborn. The girl explains cockatrices are naturally curious and rush to meet people they sense. Dia agrees to go, at least for a short while. The scene shifts to a quiet outdoor area. The boy and girl find several figures buried in the ground and Dia asks if they are dead. The boy quickly reassures her they are not dead but like being buried that way. Dia questions why, and the boy explains they are cursed and one has buried himself in mud to undo the curse. Dia looks sad, feeling depressed over the situation. Dia mistakes the buried figures for dead, but the boy quickly corrects her, explaining they are not dead but buried vertically because of a curse. He tells her the flowers want the sun, so the cursed bury themselves to get sunlight, and warns her not to poke them. Dia happily agrees, liking the sunbathing idea. The boy reassures Dia she can always ask him if she doesn't understand something. They greet a cheerful cat-like figure who enthusiastically says good morning. Dia and the boy respond warmly, and the cat is surprised to hear a small cockatrice talking. The boy confirms it, and the cat is delighted to meet Dia. The cat praises Dia and the boy for their marvel, calling them marvelous as expected. Dia asks the cat if he also likes sunbathing, and he happily agrees, suggesting they sunbathe together when Dia grows up. The three share a joyful moment, agreeing to do it. Dia begins to nod off, and the boy gently tells her she can sleep if she's tired. She asks to be petted, fluffing up contentedly in his arms. The boy smiles, noting she seems satisfied, and suggests they head back so he can put her to bed properly. The girl looks thoughtful but says nothing. Stella expresses her wish to stay with Dia for the time being until she grows up, holding the small chick-like creature protectively. The boy reacts with surprise but says he doesn't mind. The chick worries that Dia might not like waking up to either Stella or the boy, as only one of them can care for her properly. Stella hesitates but wants to ask something important. An awkward silence falls between Stella and the boy, who both shyly insist the other should go first. The boy then asks Stella if she will live together with him for Dia's sake, promising to count it as work and even pay her a bonus. Stella quietly agrees, and the boy assures her he will be in her care. The boy explains that Dia will live with them until she grows up, and Stella will also stay with them for a while. A large, fluffy creature admires Dia's cuteness as she sleeps. Suddenly, Stella notices something and asks about it. She reveals her hug pillow, explaining she can't calm down without it when staying indoors. Even though she's fine on trips, the boy listens thoughtfully. The small cockatrice, Peep, cheerfully greets everyone, surprising the boy by speaking. The boy introduces Peep as part of his family, the tree, and reminds Peep not to mind people looking different. Peep seems to understand, and the boy gently encourages acceptance despite differences. Dia says Wood reminds her of her father, and she calls him her big brother. The boy confirms this, explaining that makes Dia the little sister. They exchange big brother and little sister greetings, and the boy reflects that such families might be strange but they do exist. The boy whispers to the girl that Dia's magic power has improved a lot, and she agrees. They consider teaching Dia about magic, noting how people who use magic can sense others' magic levels. But judging quality requires more focus. The boy guesses Dia will want to learn more once she asks herself, and the girl agrees. Peep calls out father, mother, excitedly. The boy and girl happily agree to pet Peep, who asks for affection like a child. As they pet Peep, the boy asks if it feels good, and Peep joyfully says yes. The boy feels the happiness radiating from Peep's finger and smiles, wishing for the children to grow up quickly and peacefully. The boy asks Stella what she wants for dinner and if she wants to eat there. She shyly agrees, and he offers to prepare something, Wood enthusiastically suggests making dinner together. The boy opens the fridge, and the group prepares to cook, settling into a warm domestic moment. The boy admits he never expected to be cooking himself, explaining he once thought of hiring someone but prefers to cook for himself. He notes the local cooking around Zanza's is too strongly flavored, so he aims to make milder dishes. The girl eagerly offers to cook instead, but he hesitates, feeling Stella works hard every day and he might be overburdening her by asking her to handle housework too. The girl reflects warmly that they are like a family now and invites Stella to sit freely. The boy insists he will cook, citing a family saying about skills rusting without practice. The girl reacts with surprise but agrees to watch over Jia while he cooks. He apologizes to Stella, clarifying he's not intimidated by her centuries-old elven cuisine but wants to keep his skills sharp. The boy explains he wants to spend as much time as possible with Jia while she's awake. He details their sleeping arrangement. Stella first, then Wood, then himself, with Jia placed at the bed's edge and Wood between them to help Jia fall asleep easily. The girl nervously agrees, mentioning she always sleeps with Wood since he's only a few months old. The girl confirms she understands the plan, though she's a bit surprised. The boy asks if something is wrong, but she denies it. He senses her meaning and draws a physical line in the bed by squeezing the space between himself and Wood, marking boundaries clearly as they settle in together. Peep enjoys a refreshing bath, splashing happily in a wooden tub. Jia and Zanza's gently clean Peep's feathers, making sure even the back is spotless. Jia beams, declaring Peep completely clean, while Zanza's thanks Peep as they sit together peacefully. After breakfast, Zanza's writes a letter to the Adventurers Guild, requesting any information about the cockatrice queen. He reflects that Jia is already part of their family but originally comes from the labyrinth in Zanza's. He hopes someone in Zanza's might know more about the creature. At the Great Tree Tower, a concerned woman reviews production and sales reports. She notes that herb production in Heelberry Village is unique but limited. A small companion explains they are nearing the limit of what Zanza's can buy, and they cannot grow more herb types. Zanza's listens thoughtfully, acknowledging the constraints of mass-producing magical herbs. The woman suggests exploring deeper into the forest beyond their village. Zanza's explains that adventurers rarely venture that far, usually gathering only what's nearby. The woman confirms there are definitely more herbs further in, though they never traveled beyond a half-day's walk. Zanza's proposes forming a reconnaissance team to explore deeper and establish rest areas for adventurers. The woman and her companion agree, encouraging his plan to build houses inside the forest using the Great Tree House as a base. Zanza's plans to recruit strong people for a reconnaissance squad and promises to start immediately. He stresses the importance of being careful not to damage ecosystems while building great tree houses. Unlike the already surveyed village, the woman with a hat offers to appraise raw materials and prepare for departure. Zanza's feels satisfied, thinking they've covered everything needed to discuss Jia during her nap. Suddenly, two others stare silently. Then one gasps and the woman reacts with alarm, asking if something happened. The woman and the hat-wearing companion warmly agree Jia is cute and has a high-class coat of feathers. Zanza's happily confirms Jia has grown slightly bigger and enjoys bathing, mentioning recent developments. He admits feeling like a doting father. Suddenly, he gasps, catching the attention of the others, who look on with curiosity. A woman wearing a fluffy bird hat quietly asks if the other wants to go to Heelberry Village instead of her home country. The other woman stands across the table, listening intently. The standing woman, identified as Sorcerer Jessica, explains that the village is where Stella-sama lives and that being by her side in the dungeon inspired her. She admires Stella as the adventurer they all strive to be and wonders if she is the extraordinary type she aims to become. The seated woman reflects thoughtfully, acknowledging that even those who have accomplished much seem to think the same. She encourages Jessica, saying she will feel very welcomed there. Jessica beams happily, thanking her as she mentions the village needs more adventurers, making the timing perfect. The seated woman then asks why Jessica is wearing that hat. Jessica looks surprised but admits she was waiting for the question. Jessica explains the hat is a little souvenir from the uncharted region, and she is testing its durability. The seated woman asks why she wears it, and Jessica replies she likes it, even calling it a benefit. The seated woman, still wearing the hat, pulls a string hanging from its side and thanks Jessica. Jessica excitedly calls out to Peep, who reacts with surprise. She asks if the hat's head size is about small size. Glancing at it, Jessica admits it is a simple yet wonderful magic tool. When asked why she's questioning now, she explains she needs help advertising Heelberry Village if she wants to go there. She repeats Peep's name happily, then agrees to wear the hat, finding it cute after all. She thanks Peep warmly and wishes the best of luck on the journey to become the best adventurers. Outside Heelberry Village, a feudal lord praises a cat-like girl for gathering a large amount of items. The girl admits her skills would rust without practice. The lord notes it's rare she's in charge of appraisal today. The girl rummages through the items, asking if one is a full-war archer route. The lord explains how troublesome Zanzas are with full-war archers and shows a footprint-shaped damage on the route. He found it in the forest and marvels at how easily it can be identified. The girl agrees, noting full-war archers often fight other monsters. The lord wonders aloud what secrets the forest might be hiding. Peep happily asks if it has grown bigger, and Dia and the man praise it for eating and sleeping well. Peep beams with joy, then suddenly says it wants to go for a walk. The man turns, curious about what's wrong. Dia explains she's never been outside before and asks what they think. The man considers it, noting Dia's recent curiosity and activity. They decide to all go for a stroll around the village together. Outside, Peep enjoys the sunlight, calling it nice. Dia notices the man's new clothes, and he explains they were tailored in Zanzas with a special pocket made for Dia to sit in. She beams at the thoughtful detail. Peep spots a commotion nearby and asks what's happening. They approach a group gathered around a table where a woman is kneading dough. Dia compliments the color, and the woman says it needs a bit more kneading. The man thanks her politely, intrigued by the scene. The woman instructs the man to knead the dough until it feels soft. Demonstrating the texture with her hands, he tries it and agrees it's really soft. She happily snatches a piece to snack on, revealing she's holding a workshop so she can taste many flavors. The man realizes the herb ball workshop was supposed to be held today. Peep comments that the dough looks delicious, but the man tells it's too early for Peep to eat and promises snacks when it grows a bit more. Peep eagerly accepts the promise. A carriage rattles along a tree-lined path, catching the man's attention. He notes it's a carriage from Zanzas, likely belonging to a wealthy person. Peep asks what it is, and the man explains it's used to travel to distant places and should have people inside. Dia, the man, and a pumpkin-headed figure agree to go greet the newcomers. Dia steps forward, her expression curious and cautious. The man and the pumpkin-headed figure encourage her to welcome them. Dia begins to speak, asking who they are. Peep excitedly calls out to someone, recognizing her as Stella-sama. Stella beams happily and responds warmly. Peep joyfully claims to be one of her own kind. Stella is shocked to hear the chicken talking, staring in disbelief. Jessica is shocked to hear about a talking cockatrice, but the man quickly explains that Dia is the cockatrice queen and not a chick. Dia gently tells Jessica to calm down, reminding her she is standing before the feudal lord Nagash. Jessica gasps and apologizes profusely for her rudeness. She formally introduces herself as an adventurer and apologizes for not greeting them sooner. The pumpkin-headed figure warmly welcomes her back, and assures her it's all right. The man explains Jessica is an A-rank adventurer, highly respected and trusted, while he wonders why she wears such an amusing hat. The man asks Jessica what business brought her here. She reveals she carries a letter from the Zanzas Adventurer Guild in response to her inquiry about cockatrice queens. The letter expresses regret that no such cases have been recorded before, showing a formal reply to her request. Jessica is told the letter she carries should be useful and is asked to cooperate with the Zanzas Adventurer Guild in raising the cockatrice. It's noted Jessica does not know the letter's contents. The man reads a postscript explaining that Jessica's hat is merchandise developed by the guild, and they would appreciate feedback on it. He acknowledges Jessica's businesslike nature and skill in trade, noting she's from another country and valuable for sharing knowledge. He decides to give her an advisor-type position casually. She confirms understanding and is told Leia requested her help with various tasks. Peep suddenly tugs on a string, catching their attention, and she sighs in relief that it wasn't ignored. The group reacts with surprise and amusement at Jessica's quirky hat, with laughter and playful teasing. She tugs the string repeatedly, causing Peep to peep in response, while the others chuckle at the sight. Jessica beams, glad her hat was liked and worth wearing just for that moment. She tries to remove it but hesitates, then finally pulls it off, revealing herself and leaving him stunned. Peep suddenly gasps in distress, crying out that Peep is dead. Dia panics, begging for Peep to live, while another urges her to put the cover back on quickly. The cover is swiftly replaced, and Peep is revealed to be alive. Much to everyone's relief, Dia and the others express joy, but Jessica is caught off guard when told to keep the cover on at all times, causing her to blush as the others stare silently. Concerned that Peep isn't making her usual sounds, Dia asks if she's feeling ill. The man quietly instructs Dia to just pull the string, which she does. Peep immediately brightens, showing she is fine. The narration explains that Jessica joined the village because her wealthy merchant parents dealt in fish farming, making her a valuable addition. The man considers paying Jessica a bonus for her help as Peep happily hops around, and the village population is updated to 152. A young woman greets Jessica warmly at the door, apologizing for the intrusion and inviting her inside. She presents a beautifully wrapped housewarming gift, which Jessica gratefully accepts, noting the inclusion of black tea. The visitor asks if she has interrupted anything, maintaining a polite demeanor. Jessica explains she is an adventurer with little luggage but could use a break, so she gladly accepts the invitation to enter. She praises the village for its clean water and goods, mentioning the Nyafu and the Dryads. Crediting Elt for maintaining the village's charm, the visitor reflects on the eccentric nature of the Nyafu and Dryads, intrigued by the Dryads' unique ways. She notices the teapot and cup but realizes there is no water to pour. The visitor reacts with shock, and then confidently declares she will handle the situation herself, brandishing a staff with determination. The visitor announces the arrival of water as she uses her staff to summon it. Water flows into the teapot with a bubbling sound, and Jessica watches in surprise. The visitor asks if Jessica is skeptical, noting that drinking water from an unknown magical staff might seem odd. Jessica quickly reassures her that the water smells great, dispelling any doubts. Jessica takes a cautious sip of the tea and is shocked by how tasty it is. She marvels at its perfect temperature and ease of drinking. Admitting she considers herself knowledgeable about black tea, the visitor beams, explaining the water from her staff is naturally tasty because it's a family heirloom. Jessica is amazed by the mysterious staff's power. Suddenly, the staff emits a playful roar. The visitor explains it talks when in a good mood and can be ignored. The staff announces today's lucky color is yellow. Surprising Jessica, the visitor adds it can tell fortunes and is quite accurate. The visitor introduces herself as Analia, Vice Guild Master of the Alchemist Guild. She confirms Jessica is an alchemist and explains that potion effectiveness depends on water quality. She notes water is heavy and hard to transport, limiting information about it. Analia reveals her staff can create all kinds of water, astonishing Jessica. Analia shares she experimented extensively and found the water she used earlier is best for black tea. Hearing that potion production is thriving here, she thought it might be useful. Jessica, excited, says she's free and invites Analia to call when she has some spare time. Analia sparkles with enthusiasm, urging to hurry and get started. Jessica promises to contact her soon with a cheerful farewell. The feudal lord confirms the fish are healthy as the cat-like assistant agrees. Dia watches in awe, amazed that the rainbow fish are truly swimming. She marvels at the complexity of the setup, finding it astounding. The lord explains that the 100 Isles, his homeland, tried breeding these fish for over a century but failed. Dia questions why this information is being shared with her. Suspecting it's confidential, the narration notes the 100 Isles is known for agriculture and animal husbandry, and Jessica's arrival is timely. The lord admits he's not an expert but wants to borrow Jessica's expertise because the fish won't lay eggs and scaling up production is difficult. Dia considers the cooperation offer very enticing and an honor to accept. Jessica is willing to share her methods if it succeeds, though she didn't expect to learn about her homeland's crafts so easily. Jessica clarifies this is just a rough draft and offers Dia time to consider. Even if she needs permission from others, Dia acknowledges the proposal's uniqueness and believes both parties will benefit. Jessica invites Dia to come over for a bit, prompting Dia's curious response. Suddenly, Dia gasps in shock, realizing the fish might be a golden rainbow fish. Peep floats and splashes into the water, startling Dia and Jessica. Peep panics, realizing it messed up and urgently asks to be picked up. Dia shouts that Peep is dead, but others quickly reassure her that Peep is still alive despite being eaten. They urge Peep to stay with them and use a herb ball to help. Jessica asks if Peep was saved, and Dia, relieved, confirms yes. The boy learns that golden rainbow fish are female and rarely found in the wild. While the other rainbow fish are male, he realizes that without keeping the golden one alive, breeding is impossible. The girl admits she can't accept the offer immediately but believes the fish will comply if the tanks improve. They shake hands, both eager to work together. Inside the great tree tower, several dryads knead dough while eating some themselves. The boy remarks that the kneading people are dryads, and Peep is reminded to remember this. He notes that the dryads eating while working is just their way. A dryad greets the boy warmly, who returns the greeting. Peep thanks the dryad happily. The boy notices the dryad's dough making looks fun and suggests Dia try it. He explains Dia has grown interested in making dough, not just eating it. Peep excitedly urges to start making herb balls. The dryad notes the boy's anticipation. She believes Dia can knead the dough by stepping on it, which the boy acknowledges. Peep asks if kneading is necessary, and the boy confirms, though it doesn't have to be done by hand. Peep suddenly calls out loudly, startling the boy, who wonders if Dia is really using magic. The ground begins to rumble violently, causing alarm. Two dryads nearby react with surprise and concern, asking what is happening. A serious woman with braided hair and a cloak introduces herself as the Duke of Hell, Marcosius, kneeling formally and asking if the boy is the one who inherited the Demon Lord's contract. The boy recalls that Marcosius was once a subordinate Demon Lord defeated by Stella in a previous life's game. Noting she should be just as strong in this world, Marcosius acknowledges the boy as her master and asks who she should strike first. Peep excitedly confirms this. Peep insists on kneading dough together, sparkling with enthusiasm. Marcosius looks puzzled by the repeated Dezo at the end of Peep's words, but listens carefully. Peep instructs her to use her hands to knead the dough into a ball, and Marcosius nervously agrees to try. The boy suggests Jia help by stomping with her feet, and Peep praises the idea. The girl thanks Peep and advises covering the herb balls with a thin cloth since it's their first time kneading with feet. Marcosius begins kneading the dough nervously, agreeing to start. Marcosius struggles to gather enough strength and is told to use her arms and waist to knead harder. Peep urges her to take a rest. While the boy asks for a moment, Marcosius apologizes, confused by her sudden fatigue. The boy reminds Peep that father is father. She whispers to Peep, questioning the difference in fluffiness and stature between the boy and his father. Peep insists that father is father. Dismissing the differences, the boy looks on silently as Marcosius contemplates. She admits she cannot remember anything except the name she introduced earlier. The boy asks if she really is Marcosius and if she knows him. Noting she should be a high-ranking demon, she responds with uncertainty, unable to recall more than her own name. The boy deduces that Marcosius is likely level 1 now with her body, magic power, and knowledge reset. He reasons that since Stella defeated her, Jia could summon her easily. The boy asks if this assumption seems plausible, and Marcosius considers it thoughtfully. Marcosius suddenly asks how she can reclaim her power as the boy's father. The boy tells her to just call him Elt for now. She explains she must address him formally as linked to her master but agrees to omit my master, if allowed. The boy explains that summoned beings are connected to their master's power, so as Jia grows stronger, his power should return gradually. Marcosius blinks, absorbing this. Peep stomps nearby, prompting Marcosius to reflect on her master and her current powerless state. She wonders if she will return to hell and questions how she ended up like this. The boy and Marcosius find Peep adorable. The boy admits the summoning was accidental and wants to fix how Jia summoned her. Though it's not something he can decide alone, Marcosius quietly calls him Elt-sama. A woman with pointed ears approaches Marcosius, saying she heard there was urgent business. Marcosius looks surprised as the woman asks if she is, leaving the scene charged with anticipation. Shock ripples through the group as one woman gasps in disbelief, recognizing someone as Marchon. The other woman turns sharply, equally stunned, her eyes wide with emotion. She struggles to find words, finally uttering, "You are..." The tension thickens as the two women face each other, one asking, "Who are you, Dezo?" The moment hangs heavy, charged with the weight of a fateful reunion. The small creature Peep chirps excitedly, calling out "Mother." Marcosius responds calmly, telling Peep that mother is mother. Dezo questions if this person is their master's mother, but Marcosius insists that no matter how you look at it, she is not. The boy whispers to Marcosius that the woman resembles someone he knows, and he offers to summarize the situation for her. The boy explains that no matter where the story is heard, the battle with Marcosius was always expected but never went as planned. Marcosius listens thoughtfully, acknowledging this. The boy recounts that in the play, she was part of the enemy's forces, but in reality, she was summoned not for power but as a bride for the Demon Lord. She served as a gatekeeper to keep away from the Demon Lord, whom she hated. The boy reveals that by the time he challenged the Demon Lord, Marcosius had escaped his control. The girl adds that since their interests overlapped, she and the boy conquered the Demon Lord together. Dezo, tired, apologizes to Peep and tries to focus. While Marcosius offers to help if possible, the boy asks what they should do next. The boy expresses gratitude for Marcosius, saying he never felt like abandoning her. She pants slightly, smiling happily as she promises that even though she has forgotten everything but her name, they can still count on her. The narration confirms Marcosius has become their newest resident. The boy reflects that it feels more like protecting her, but he accepts it with a small smile. A lion-shaped container roars as the color of the liquid inside changes rapidly. Two girls watch the reaction, one explaining they just need to wait a little longer. Another girl asks if the efficacy differs, and the first explains the solution reacts the same but production speed has increased remarkably. A knock at the door interrupts them. The door opens to reveal a cheerful girl named Jessica greeting them warmly. The girl holding the lion container asks if she's in the way. Jessica sniffs the air and beams, excited by the scent of the water, confirming she rushed over because it smells very nice. The girl with the lion container is momentarily speechless, sparkling with wonder. Another girl praises the water produced by the staff as first class, and the lion container girl eagerly asks if she can have some. The others happily agree, and she opens her mouth wide in anticipation. The lion-shaped container is lifted as the girl insists they pour the water directly into her mouth. Another girl protests, but she's undeterred. The lion container pours the water, and the girl drinks it eagerly, gulping it down with delight while one onlooker calls her a terrifying girl. The girl finishes drinking the water with a satisfied cheer, marveling at how tasty it is despite her unusual gulping method. Another girl suggests the water would be great for crops, sparking a thoughtful pause from the girl with the lion container, who admits she'd only considered it for drinking and never questioned it before. She reflects on how the sea surrounds her hometown, making farming difficult and feeling like a waste. The cheerful girl and another friend enthusiastically agree that water is as vital as sun and soil, emphasizing countless ways to use it. The girl with the lion container brightens at this new perspective, feeling encouraged and hopeful. Several days later, the group sets out on a forest expedition. The boy leads, expressing slight worry about bringing Dia and Marcojas but remains confident they'll be fine until the resting point. As they walk, the boy notes the journey should be faster this time. Suddenly, a rustling sound alerts them to a forest walker nearby. The path ahead creaks as if newly cleared, and the boy praises Nyan for making a path that allows them to walk easily. The small creature excitedly calls for the expedition to proceed. The boy and another companion admire the magic of a noble family, impressed that no public works were needed to clear the way. Meanwhile, Marchan hums happily, noting it's the first time she's walked in a forest, though the girl gently corrects her, implying she's been here before. Marchan, visibly shaken, confesses she saw an incomprehensible creature with many legs that scared her. She trembles as she admits it had a villainous expression and likely killed countless people. The boy and the girl ask what happened, and she screams that it was a spider. The boy explains Marchan's amnesia, noting she lost her memory and has lived a sheltered life, so she sometimes speaks oddly. The cat-like companion adds that since Marchan isn't a common name, they've started calling her Marjas. The boy says potions were tried to restore her memory but failed. The small creature excitedly points out a big tree nearby. The boy reveals the big tree is where the dryads used to live. The girl reacts with surprise while the small creature dashes toward the tree, calling out. The boy and others debate whether to follow it, but the boy insists they should consult Tedatoka first and refrain from acting on their own. The boy wonders if the presence of Dia explains the strange events, noting no adventurers reported anything unusual in the forest. The girl agrees, recalling cries of dying cockatrices in dungeons. The boy questions if that's true, and the girl admits it didn't seem like things were going well. Suddenly, Tedatoka appears, cheerfully asking if they called for her. The girl wonders aloud about the monster and bird the boy mentioned, admitting she's never seen anything like that before since they rarely went on walks. The small creature eagerly asks if it can meet the boy's friend, and the boy nods, deciding to include searching for cockatrices in their expedition. The boy tells Tedatoka they should rest here first and asks permission to use the tree. Tedatoka agrees enthusiastically. The boy explains he will cast a healing spell for the plants, which lacked magical power last time, and begins the spell with a glowing effect on the tree. The tree creaks and cracks as the spell takes effect, and the girl excitedly notes the wilted parts have come back to life, though the tree has shrunk to about a fifth of its original size. The boy observes the roots have shrunk too, leaving holes in the ground, and suggests filling them with dirt and plant magic before resting. The boy's son calls out to him, pointing out stones lying deep inside a hole. The boy asks what's wrong, and the girl admits she can't see it, but the boy asks if only the girl can see it. She proudly claims her eyes can see clearly even in the dark, impressing the boy. The boy carefully touches the moss deep inside the hole. Identifying it as lunar moss, he notices a shining path of flagstones beneath the tree roots and wonders if it's an underground walkway. The small creature Peep confirms it looks made for walking, and the boy agrees. The girl recognizes the flagstones from before and asks if this is a very old road. The boy confirms, suggesting it might connect to the dungeon in Zanzas, where similar flagstones exist. They recall the only animal monsters there were cockatrices, making it plausible they appear here too. The girl speculates about which dungeon layer the path might lead to, considering the possibility it leads to the unexplored third floor known as the Mushroom Garden, filled with walking mushrooms and plants. The boy agrees this would be a surprising discovery. Daiso notices Peep calling out and spots a small bird-like creature resting in the tree's shade. Peep happily greets the creature as a friend and suggests it must be family. The boy admits he messed up by not noticing sooner, while the girl looks on with curiosity. The boy suggests leaving the excavation to the dwarves and skilled miners, mentioning the guild in Zanzas could introduce them to some. He agrees, noting the path they saw indicates an exit in the direction it left. The girl sniffs the air, claiming she smells dried grass and can follow that trail. The boy and the girl decide to leave the tracking to Marja's, who sniffs intently. The girl wonders if Marja's acted this way when they first met, but the boy doubts it, saying she seemed more mature then. Marja's calls out to Daezo, excitedly signaling that the destination is close. The girl and boy agree this is the real her as she happily steps forward. Marja's admits feeling useless, but the boy reassures her she was a great help. The trail ends at a bush, and as they investigate, the boy lifts the bush aside. The sound of creaking wood follows, revealing a hidden door beneath the foliage. The group realizes the pathway must lead here, explaining why the trail ended. The girl praises Daezo for his good work, and Peep happily joins in the praise. Suddenly, the hidden door creaks open, and Peep chirps urgently, warning of danger. The girl quickly asks if Peep senses something dangerous, heightening the tension. The boy questions if the flowers are really walking, asking Peep if he understands. Peep urgently warns them to run and save themselves, causing the girl to suspect the walking flowers must be monsters. The boy confirms this, noting 50 flower archers lie ahead. He raises his hand, invoking a spell called Forest Sage, preparing for the confrontation. Suddenly, the boy alerts the group that 50 flower archers are incoming, attacking by firing seeds. He commands the adventurers and wood allies to prepare for battle. The girl lifts her weapon confidently, declaring this fight will be easy and rallies everyone to knock it out of the park. The boy explains that a single walking flower isn't much trouble, but when many gather, they become dangerous. The girl swings her weapon fiercely, striking down the flower enemies with impressive skill. The boy and Marja's watch in awe as she continues to cut through the crowd of hostile flowers. The girl, now more comfortable with the fight, confidently wields her weapon and calls out to the flowers, signaling she sees them. She moves swiftly through the foliage, ready to strike again. A heavy blow crushes one of the flowers with a loud boom, silencing the immediate threat. The girl smiles happily, relieved to have a moment of peace. The boy and Marja stand nearby, observing the quiet aftermath. Suddenly, the girl senses something and looks up, alert. Peep rolls over and rummages through the grass, prompting the boy to suggest trying something new. Peep eagerly chomps on something, delighting in the taste. The girl reacts with surprise and joy as Peep confirms the food is tasty, bringing a light-hearted moment amid the tension. The boy softly calls out to Peep, who nestles close, fluffy and warm. He marvels at how soft the big cockatrice feels, gently touching its feathers. The girl watches nearby, charmed by the creature's cuteness. Suddenly, she gasps, noticing something ahead, while the boy and Marja's approach excitedly. The girl offers to let the boy take the best parts of the flower materials since he gathered the most, but he insists she keep them. She smiles warmly, saying she's more interested in the cockatrice's fluffiness than the roots. With a quick farewell, she dashes off energetically. The boy rallies the others, praising the generosity of S-rank adventurers and urging everyone to finish their tasks. The girl checks on Peep and the cockatrice, confirming they are unharmed with barely a scratch. Peep happily chirps a thank you for defeating the flowers, and the girl responds with a grateful smile. The boy wonders if Peep understands their words without Dia translating, surprised by the creature's comprehension. Peep excitedly flaps and expresses a desire to swing the bat, which the girl interprets as wanting to take action. She encourages aiming together, raising the bat with determination and shouting a rallying cry for Cushion. The boy reacts with surprise as the girl and Peep prepare to strike in unison. The boy reflects quietly on the depth of their conversation, realizing he's been rambling about baseball rules. Pitching, catching, and running are all essential to reach Cushion. The girl wonders if the cockatrice truly understood their words, while the boy admits he felt like they had a genuine conversation. The cockatrice chirps energetically, trying to respond, prompting the boy to ask if it understands him. The cockatrice's reply seems to say, "I understand you." The boy concludes the cockatrice likely only understands Stella, who has the cockatrice tamer skill, and that their communication is one-sided for now. The girl agrees quietly. The boy then asks the cockatrice if it could share what happened to it. The boy confirms that the two cockatrices live here, explaining their story. They are sisters, with the one in front being the older. They've lived alone, never meeting their parents, and their nest connects to an underground path they rarely use. The boy asks where the younger sister is now. The cockatrice chirps in response. The boy listens as the story continues. Recently, a massive outbreak of flower archers attacked everything, shrinking their feeding grounds and forcing them to use the underground path to avoid danger. The cockatrice urgently chirps that the younger sister is home protecting food and that it must return soon. The boy notes this is a problem and asks if there are still many flowers around. The cockatrice nods repeatedly. The boy thanks it and asks the girl to help, then cheerfully asks the cockatrice to guide them to its nest so they can take the flowers down safely. The group arrives at a small, isolated house surrounded by trees. The boy wonders if the stone walls and dry moat once held water. The small bird-like creature chirps excitedly, sensing something. Suddenly, another fluffy creature pops out from behind a wooden fence, calling out to its sister. The two creatures greet each other warmly, exchanging joyful chirps. The boy and the girl watch as the creatures communicate, with one explaining that the sister has returned home safely. The girl thanks the creatures for their warm welcome, and the boy listens carefully as they reveal the size of the flower archer colony nearby, about 1,000 strong, and mention a possible boss monster among them. They discuss the dangers and the need for healing potions if they plan to confront the archers. The boy considers reporting the underground path to Leia and suggests cooperating with the Adventurers Guild to finish the task faster. The cat-like companion agrees they should split up due to the forest's size. The girl offers a fruit to the creatures, who stare at it hungrily, hinting at their appetite. The girl encourages the small bird-like creatures to try eating a fruit first, assuring them it's delicious. One hesitates, but after a moment, the creature takes a bite and happily declares it tasty, clearly delighted by the flavor. The creatures eagerly ask for more fruit, and the girl happily offers plenty. The boy reflects on how cute they are and wonders if they could take them home to protect them, considering the village's safety and facilities for such creatures. He then cautiously asks the creatures a question. A lively character with a hat excitedly remarks that it's the first time they've seen a real adult cockatrice. The girl and boy discuss the rarity of such creatures, with the girl noting she's only seen merchandise and mascots before. The boy acknowledges the popularity of cockatrices in town advertisements and decides he should visit as well. The girl teases the boy about coming from a place with scary cockatrice legends. The boy recounts a tale of a king who once tried to capture cockatrices with a large fleet but failed, with only a few survivors returning. He understands why they'll live in the same village now and asks the girl to try meeting the cockatrices today. As they aren't dangerous, the girl sighs, acknowledging the creature's reputation, but encourages the boy to see how good the small creature Peep really is. The small creatures suddenly jump up, alerting everyone to their presence as they greet the guests warmly. The girl and boy watch closely, noticing the creatures gently grooming each other, which makes them seem friendly and approachable. The girl reaches out and softly touches one, feeling its warmth and softness. The girl rubs the creature affectionately, marveling at how warm and soft it feels. The creature responds happily, and the girl is overcome with joy. Suddenly, another girl declares herself an adventurer and encourages the creature to go ahead, while the first girl gasps in surprise at the creature's reaction. Another girl eagerly cuddles the creature, amazed by its softness and warmth. The others watch with envy and delight, commenting on how nice the cockatrice feels. The creature wakes up and nuzzles gently, causing the girl to admit it truly feels good to be close to it. Both creatures cuddle warmly with the group, who praise them for their gentle nature. The girl finally understands what a cockatrice is, overwhelmed by the softness and kindness of the creatures. She beams with happiness, declaring how wonderful the cockatrices truly are. The girl happily brushes one of the fluffy cockatrices, promising to make it even softer. She plans to write a letter to Leia, noting the feathers shed by the cockatrices will easily cover the cost of their nameplates. Meanwhile, the wolf-like man watches silently, questioning what she's talking about. The wolf-like man sighs over the burden of assigning ranks to adventurers. Though he wishes he could meet them sooner, the girl studies a thick letter from Heelberry Village, discovering it contains a detailed map and various information. The man reveals a flower archer group has been sighted, numbering over 1,000, and warns of abandoned territory with monsters, hinting at a more serious issue. The girl and the wolf-like man discuss an underground path possibly connected to Zanza's dungeon. She mentions Eltsama's discovery, suggesting he truly has it. The man reacts with surprise and concern, questioning if this is really true. The girl laughs excitedly, declaring that if the lost entrance has been missing for 1,000 years, its rediscovery signals a new age beginning. The group walks forward beneath a large tree, sensing the premonition of changing times as the cockatrice sisters join them. Their total population now 155. A horse-drawn carriage rattles along a path before coming to a stop. A woman with long dark hair and a confident smile announces her arrival to Eltsama. She reveals she has brought the best adventurers from all of Zanza's, presenting a group behind her. The man acknowledges her presence, surprised to see one of the adventurers resembling himself. The woman's hat, shaped like a small bird, speaks, astonishing the man. They exchange greetings, and he notes that she has no complaints, expressing relief. She explains the urgent threat of 1,000 flower archers, an S-rank problem they must address quickly. The man delegates tasks, instructing Stella and Marjas to guide the adventurers to their rooms and gather help. The girl excitedly asks for the bird-shaped hat, but the woman suggests postponing that conversation. The man expresses gratitude for the quick reply, surprised by how fast the other arrived. She humbly credits the map for their swift progress. They spread out a map, discussing the need to exterminate the flower archers nesting in the forest. She suggests sending scouts first to pinpoint the enemy's location, including the boss's whereabouts. He agrees, acknowledging it would take months alone. She proposes borrowing the full power of Elsama to speed things up, asking how much faster that would be. The man considers that with villagers' help, the task could be done in a week. She plans to divide the materials equally and possibly use items from the boss. He agrees to keep the boss materials if he can join the front lines. The man questions the secrecy around the underground path linked to Zanza's dungeon, wondering if it should be monopolized. She warns of potential dangers and the path's questionable safety. Not knowing who built it or when, he concedes and offers to share any spoils if the investigation proves profitable. Admitting they lack experts for underground exploration, she thanks him for his sensible judgment. The scene shifts to a village with large trees housing homes. The man asks how the meeting went. She remarks on the surprising magic power growth of Elsama compared to other nobles his age. Noting the trees were created by his magic, she lifts a small creature, preparing to respond further. The man is shocked that Leia is squeezing the cockatrice plushie with both hands. Realizing this must be even harder than expected, he notes this is a habit of hers. Leia explains they agreed to investigate the pathway, and if needed, he would fill in. The man reflects on Elsama's calm mindset, far beyond what he'd expect from a 15-year-old, almost feeling like he's the same age. He acknowledges Elsama's mentality is rare for someone with such magic power. The girl explains nobles' pride and arrogance often correlate with their magic power, forcing desires through it and looking down on others. The man questions if Elsama only looks young, and the girl confirms he is smart too. She reveals they agreed to unite under the flower archers but that Elsama had a condition. The man asks what kind of condition. The girl says the condition was that he would go to the front lines in exchange for the boss's drops. She suspects he wants to gauge the value of working with them. The girl contemplates that Elsama might be related to the succession race. Noting he is younger than his 3 brothers, she thought he was sent to develop the neglected territory but realizes his magic isn't suited for reclaiming sacred grounds. She notes his brothers are married with children, and normally he wouldn't be considered for succession. She advises focusing on the flower archers and the pathway, avoiding meddling in nobles' affairs. The man agrees, trusting Elsama is capable. Enough alone. The girl stares at the plushie, saying it's not fluffy enough. The man asks what now, and she says she needs to improve it quickly to take care of the flower archers and burn the sensation of the cockatrices into her mind. She asks if he wants to keep playing with the cockatrices that badly. She declares seriously that making cockatrice plushies isn't a joke. The dog-like man acknowledges that selling the cockatrice plushies in Zanza seems to work. The girl suddenly bursts with energy, excitedly announcing she has a plan requiring Elsama's cooperation and urges him to write it down quickly. She laughs heartily, eager to finish soon so they can focus on the cockatrices and the pathway. The boy reviews the plan, confirming they need shields and fire potions, asking about the quantities, 100 of each. The girl assures him she can prepare them, expecting over 1,000 enemies. He considers the strategy, noting fire potions rapidly ignite anyone struck, and the shields will protect them defensively. At first glance, the plan seems sound. Lure enemies out, defeat them with fire potions, and use shields to protect themselves. The girl explains they will send a scouting party of 10 to monitor the flower archers' patrol patterns. Since their movements change if a scout is killed, they plan to learn patrol routes and crush the enemy at the right moment. Gathering around their bosses to defeat foes, fire potions will aid patrol fights, while shields will be reserved for decisive battles. The girl offers to start making fire potions immediately and asks if she should deliver them once ready. The boy agrees gratefully. He plans to oversee production before heading to the front lines. Though it will take a few days, the girl asks if Wood will join the battle, and he confirms. Suddenly, Jessica steps forward, expressing her desire to help Elsama, despite his concern about her pushing herself too hard. Jessica steps forward, asking earnestly to help for the sake of the Cockatrice sisters and Tedatoka. The boy acknowledges her, grateful for the aid of an A-rank adventurer, and asks if Stella has any tricks to share for taking down flower archers. Stella agrees uncertainly to give it a try, despite not knowing how useful she will be. The girl addresses the gathered group, acknowledging their varied experiences with defeating flower archers and respecting their individual fighting styles. She emphasizes the importance of learning basic defense and evasion for safety, announcing that today they will practice throwing balls. 2 cat-like adventurers arrive carrying buckets filled with soft balls, presenting them cheerfully. The girl thanks them warmly and prepares to begin. She calls out to Wood, signaling the start of the exercise, and Wood responds eagerly, ready at any time. The girl throws a ball with force and precision, her movement swift and confident. Wood catches it smoothly, praising the throw, while the onlookers watch nervously. gulping at the intensity of the training. The girl demonstrates the proper way to throw the ball, encouraging the group to practice together since all adventurers in the village throw similarly. The group responds enthusiastically with a unified, yes. A cat-like adventurer notices Stella seems less energetic than usual and asks if something is wrong. Stella admits the ball-throwing practice feels quite novel. While another expresses disbelief that even ball-throwing could be useful, the girl reflects quietly, feeling down that no one tried to throw the ball back during the exercise. The narration shifts to progress on brewing fire potions, which is going well. As the method is a basic skill all village alchemists can perform, the boy examines a wooden board, lamenting his inability to craft handles well. He also mentions gathering exact shield dimensions to start making them with plant magic. The girl encourages him, saying adventurers can easily make the handles themselves. The boy doubts his skill since he's only made the main board part. But the girl reassures him that basic repairability is essential and the adventurers from Zanzi's are quite skilled. She confidently predicts the shields will be made quickly. The boy plans to make extra recovery potions if time allows, and thanks her sincerely. The girl praises his plant magic as very convenient, urging him to produce as much lumber as his magic permits. The girl explains that with his plant magic, he can create as many houses and forts in the village as desired, which would be even more useful if war ever occurs. The boy quietly hopes the world remains peaceful. Narration describes the world's current peace maintained by a world alliance and the Adventurers Guild's effective cooperation, though there is always concern about sudden large monster outbreaks like stampedes. The boy confesses his dislike for war, preferring the peaceful life of a feudal lord. Suddenly, the girl swings a wooden sword with force, her determination clear. Support adventurers from Zanzi's watch in awe as Stella expertly returns every strike. They marvel at the feudal lord's personal involvement and his strong sense of responsibility, confident the operation will succeed with his leadership and the support of Eltsama. The adventurers discuss how subjugations of this scale usually take months, but Master Leia promises it will be done in a week. Nearby, a training session pushes one to throw faster. While the boy wonders if something unusual is happening in the village, the girl hints at a special event to look forward to after the lesson ends. The boy reveals a secret anticipation even Leia shares, something unique to this village. Rumors say Leia neither drinks nor smokes, yet she looks forward to this event. The boy announces it's the mud baths, urging everyone to head to Heelberry's specialty with excitement. The boy inspects a wooden board with satisfaction. Noting it turned out well, he recalls the plan. Stella and Wood left this morning to exterminate flower archers, while the scouts found isolated enemy groups to be eliminated over the next few days. The strategy is to assault the enemy base after drawing out the boss and its guards. Suddenly, a large wolf-like figure stares at him, catching him off guard. The wolf praises the boy's magic as incredible, calling the village full of positive surprises. The boy reflects that magic itself is rare, especially of this kind, and even nobles rarely have such surplus power. He remembers hearing that beginner healing magic alone can prevent hunger. The girl snaps a twig, prompting the boy to realize Stella must have more magic power than most nobles. Smoke signals rise in the distance, alerting the group. They note Stella's team has already taken down 30 enemies at an incredible speed. Almost unbelievable. The wolf acknowledges Stella's stamina must be immense to maintain such a pace, and suggests Stella's group join forces with another team to help finish off the enemies. The girl, energized and holding wooden bats, asks excitedly what they think of the bats. She explains the bats make a satisfying noise and feel nice and hard to strike with, different from Eltsama's weapons. She also mentions the balls attached to the bats don't stretch much when hit, which she prefers. The boy warns more enemies are coming, including a huge one this time. The girl confidently volunteers to handle the threat, gripping her wooden bat firmly. The boy notes that the large enemy is a higher-rank variant of flower archers, a flower sniper, and doubts it's an opponent normal adventurers could face alone. But he's not worried about her. She quietly exhales, preparing herself. She steadies her stance and swings her bat with determination, readying for the attack. The bat cuts through the air with a powerful whoosh. Her strike lands with a sharp crack, breaking the enemy's defense. The boy and another watch in surprise as the flower enemy is hit and staggered from just one blow. The girl exhales in relief, ready to pursue the remaining smaller foes. She explains that previous bats couldn't withstand her strengthening magic and would bend or break. But the maple bat from Eltsama endures perfectly. She beams with pride, feeling one step closer to her goal. Excitement fills the air as the adventurers return, greeted warmly by the villagers. The girl raises her hand in thanks to Eltsama for the sturdy bat. Two women trot forward, presenting bowls of herb balls they've made, encouraging everyone to eat as many as they like. The dog-like man inspects the herb balls, confirming their deliciousness and urging the group to enjoy more. The boy asks how the bat performed, and the girl beams, saying it was easy to grip and she quickly adapted to it. He recalls that Stella usually fights barehanded because weapons can't endure her full power. A flashback reveals her nickname, Mithril Breaker, earned after breaking 10 mithril swords in battle, making dwarven blacksmiths despair. The boy reassures her that Bat's breaking is normal and that he doesn't mind if she puts all her strength into each strike. She is surprised but relieved, and he advises that it's better to swing fully, even if it means breaking the bat, rather than holding back. He explains that the bat is her partner but can also be a victim, and that baseball is about accepting that reality. The next day, the girl eagerly presents a tray of dough balls, confident these are better than the last batch. The small bird-like creature needs the dough, but the girl insists it hasn't been kneaded enough. Despite her efforts, she laments feeling useless, while the girl and the creature cheer each other on. The bird instructs her to straighten her arms and put her shoulders and back into kneading. She tries stretching her arms, realizing this method is more effective. The girl recalls her mother's advice, understanding this technique uses more than just arm strength. The bird urges her to knead using her back and shoulders to the extreme. The girl acknowledges the wisdom in this. While the other girl munches on dough happily, they agree to make many more dough balls, aiming to have them ready by evening. Nearby, a group watches the girl preparing with the bat. Noting it's about time the boss appeared, one readies to take a look. Suddenly, the girl swings the bat with force, narrowly missing the boy who gasps and dodges as the bat crashes into a tree with a loud impact. The girl and the boy watch in surprise as a deep crack suddenly appears in a tree. The girl whispers that the man they saw is dangerous as the group cautiously approaches the tree from behind. Back at their base, the girl reflects on the threat, noting it will be her first time in actual combat and that the magic bullets they faced were invisible. The boy explains the bullets likely had invisibility magic cast by the Flower General, a variant of the Flower Archer specializing in magic bullets. She wishes she could hit the bullet back somehow, while he notes her physical abilities are far beyond normal. The boy proposes a theory from the game's wiki. If she can match the timing of the Flower General's fastball shots, she might be able to knock the bullets back. He asks if she has a handkerchief or something to use as a blindfold for the crash course training. She questions the blindfold idea, and he insists it's necessary to strike back at the magic bullets. Night falls as the girl, now blindfolded, continues the crash course training outside with the others watching. The boy asks if she's still doing the training despite the late hour. He notices a musical instrument tied to her leg, a castanet, and comments he's never seen such an accessory before. The boy demonstrates how to use the castanet to create a clacking sound. Humming as he shows the technique, the girl notices the peculiar noise. Suddenly, the group hears a commotion and spots the girl walking with a large basket. The dog-like figure, Daigozaru, surprises the others by correctly guessing who carries the basket just from the faint sounds it makes. The girl, blindfolded, asks if Daigozaru's ability to distinguish them is due to echolocation. The boy confirms, explaining that Leia is the one wearing the cockatrice hat. He wonders if she uses reverberations to sense her surroundings. Daigozaru admits that certain monsters are very sensitive to sound and that he's been detected by some while hiding. The boy reflects that he's never heard of a human doing this before. The boy continues, noting that enchanted objects with invisibility magic still produce sound, so the girl should be able to locate them this way. He clacks the castanet again, saying he's gotten the hang of it since it makes a short, loud noise. Daigozaru praises the idea but doubts they can use it effectively. The boy credits the girl for thinking it up and the dog-like figure agrees to try, suggesting it might help with scouting at night or in darkness. The girl, still blindfolded, hears the castanet clicking and wonders about Wood, Marchon, and Dia. Suddenly, the girl's friends arrive cheerfully, calling out to Daizo and inviting him to eat dinner together. They note it's already dark outside, and the warm reunion brings a moment of comfort amid the ongoing training. The girl agrees to stop training for the day as night falls, smiling with her eyes closed. Marchon praises Peep's ability to walk without seeing. While the girl confidently claims she can also sense where Wood is, Marchon wonders if she could do it too, but the girl warns she'd just get hurt. Marchon considers trying to walk with one eye open first. Encouraged by Peep's suggestion, she gently places Peep down, but Peep wobbles and shakes, causing concern. The girl insists she's fine despite the unsteady start, determined to try seriously. Marges watches worriedly as the girl walks blindfolded, questioning if she's truly okay. Suddenly, the girl nearly steps on a rock, but Marchon quickly pulls her back, warning her to be more careful. The girl thanks Marchon warmly, calling her mother in gratitude. She reflects quietly, pondering if the girl's knowledge of echolocation is coincidence or something deeper from hell. He concludes that Marcosia's is no ordinary inhabitant and might hold valuable knowledge if her memories return. The girl resumes clicking her castanet, continuing her training despite the fading light. The girl swings her wooden sword with fierce precision, breaking through her target with a sharp crack despite being blindfolded. Onlookers watch in stunned disbelief as she takes down one flower archer after another, all without sight. She slowly removes her blindfold, a calm smile spreading across her face as she declares her progress. Her confidence shines as she proclaims herself one step closer to Cushion. Elt announces he's finished making all the shields and decides to check on Stella's squad. Daigozaru asks if Elt will go in person, and Elt confirms, recalling his promise. Nearby, onlookers murmur excitedly that the Lord is finally joining the battle, but Elt urges them to hold their horses. Walking through the forest, Elt admits it's his first time guiding a noble to the front line and expresses concern about leaving the fight to others. Daigozaru reassures him, recalling Stella's strong performance in a previous dungeon. Elt worries about Stella and Wood, especially since it's Wood's first real battle. Daigozaru notes Elt's familial feelings toward Wood. A smoke signal appears ahead, prompting Daigozaru to suggest a detour due to flower snipers. Elt declines, preferring to join Stella's group directly. He reminds Daigozaru that the snipers are B-rank monsters but believes they won't pose much trouble to those with magic. Daigozaru admires Elt's boldness as they continue forward. They encounter Wood, who greets them warmly. Elt asks how Wood is holding up, and Wood confirms he's hitting well. Stella appears, surprised and pleased to see Elt at the front lines. Elt notes that since he finished making shields, dealing with the enemies is no problem. Stella proudly shows the defeated flower snipers, declaring they just end up like that. Stella admits hitting the flower snipers blindfolded requires intense concentration, something she doubts she could sustain for long. Daigozaru notes it's only been a short time since she left, but Stella insists on making herself useful since she came all the way here. Elt contemplates using the spell Giant Wood Arm, but worries it might damage the forest. Instead, he decides to cast a different spell, calling out Spring's Blessing. The spell emits a wide light, surprising the group as Elt's magic creates a wide area effect that boosts defense and resistance for nearby allies. The others cheer, grateful for the protection that allows them to move freely. Elt watches as the flower snipers are quickly defeated, noting they were hit immediately and that the attack didn't hurt the group. Stella stands, ready to move on after a brief rest, but Elt cautions her not to overexert herself. She enthusiastically promises to give her very best, gripping her weapon tightly as she prepares to fight again. She strikes fiercely, smashing through the remaining enemies with powerful blows. Daigozaru and Elt watch in admiration, with Elt reflecting on how Stella continually reminds them of her incredible strength. At the empty moat near the cockatrice sisters' former hut, a girl enthusiastically casts a spell called Freshwater Waterfall. She drinks a potion quickly as another urges her on. The water surges powerfully, flowing through the area and revitalizing the plants nearby. The sunflowers and other flowers soak up the water, their petals brightening as the girl and another woman express relief and happiness. They acknowledge the potion's success, crediting the water for making it possible, and note its usefulness for the upcoming final battle. A few days later, inside a cozy room, a woman greets the fluffy creature called Peep, who seems excited. She encourages Peep to cheer her on for the final battle with the flowers. The girl, called Marchon, commands Peep to let others in, and Peep obediently agrees. The door creaks open as Peep and other fluffy creatures eagerly rush inside, counting off as they enter. The girl and a young man watch with curiosity as the energetic creatures flood the room, ready for what lies ahead. The girl cheers energetically, calling out to Peep and encouraging the fluffy creatures to dance and stomp with all their might. The creatures respond with lively movements, matching her enthusiasm perfectly. She finishes with a triumphant shout, celebrating their spirited performance. The group expresses heartfelt gratitude, amazed at how perfectly Peep's dance and song lifted their spirits. The boy reflects quietly on the touching moment, wondering if this is what it feels like to watch children grow up. The girl playfully scolds Peep for missing some steps, urging more practice to improve. The girl proudly presents a plate of herb balls she made herself, offering them to the others with a bright smile. The boy and the others are surprised and delighted, praising the tasty, sweet treats. They happily accept more, enjoying the snacks as the girl laughs joyfully. With renewed determination, the girl urges Peep to do their best, sending the creature off with a warm farewell. The boy and the others prepare to depart, affirming their resolve to strike true in the coming battle. United and hopeful, they set out together, ready for what lies ahead. The girl steps forward confidently, her foot landing firmly as she grips a wooden bat. She closes her eyes briefly, focusing deeply before swinging the bat with a powerful thwack against a target. Her eyes open wide with a bright smile as she exclaims she hit it. The impact crashes against a large tree, and the boy nearby nods in encouragement. Her hand clenches the bat tightly, determination shining in her grip. She resumes her stance, clicking the bat with a steady rhythm as she eyes a large sunflower hanging from a branch. Her gaze sharpens, and she calls out her target with resolve. With a mighty swing, she strikes the sunflower, sending it flying through the air. The sunflower crashes to the ground with a thud, petals scattering as the girl follows through energetically, her expression fierce and focused. Cheers erupt as the group praises Stella, celebrating her successful hit. She beams with pride, holding her sword aloft, while the crowd's applause surrounds her in a moment of triumph. The boy reveals a small, glowing glowstone taken from the flower general's blossom, explaining its rarity and potential to teach new magic or skills. Though the chance is slim, he asks Wood to eat it, and Wood eagerly agrees. Wood chomps down on the glowstone, then swallows it. Suddenly, he lifts his hand and unleashes a powerful explosion, demonstrating a new skill called Seed Bullet Level 1. The group reacts in awe, confirming the new skill's name and marveling at Wood's luck. The boy explains the stone's origin from a plant monster, increasing the chance of affinity. Wood joyfully fires seed bullets, enjoying his newfound power as the others watch in amazement. The girl beams with excitement, gripping her bat tightly as she prepares to swing. The boy warns her not to overdo it, but she eagerly agrees with a bright smile. She charges forward, swinging the bat energetically while the boy watches, thinking to himself that she truly has baseball on the brain. Peace settles over the group once more. The celebration for defeating the flower archers bursts with joy as large, fluffy cockatrices dance energetically, their cheerful peeping filling the air. The girl beams with delight, amazed by the lively creature's movements. The cockatrices chatter among themselves, curious about the girl wearing a peculiar hat, wondering if she is important or often buried in dirt, and if her head might be cold. Their innocent chatter reveals their simple, childlike thoughts. The girl thanks the boy, Eltsama, for helping take down the flower archers, assuring him that no one was hurt and it was for their own sake as well. She expresses gratitude and eagerness to investigate the underground path. While he admits it's a bit far away, she then hints at having a proposal related to this. She suggests making the boy a branch chief of the Adventurers Guild to open a branch in the village. Shifting the conversation to a new topic, the boy considers the idea thoughtfully, and she promises to explain everything in detail tomorrow morning. They both reflect quietly on what to do next as she walks away under the trees. The Adventurers Guild is explained as an organization protecting people from monsters and dungeons, with branches worldwide and national headquarters managing them. The boy asks Stella's opinion about opening a branch and making him a branch chief. Though he doubts his qualifications since he's not an adventurer, Stella recalls that nobles were often made guild masters when she was an adventurer. Stella elaborates that adventurers are armed fighters who can cause trouble for local authorities. So guild masters are made those authorities. The boy asks if Leia being a former adventurer is unusual, and Stella confirms that Zanzi's is ruled by adventurers, with a former adventurer as guild master. She admits she doesn't know if many guilds like that still exist. The boy thanks her, and the cockatrice Peep invites them to dance. The boy is surprised by the sudden invitation to dance, but Daiso encourages him, saying it's fun, and even the dryads join in. The boy agrees to join, and the group happily dances together, holding hands in a circle under the evening sky. After dancing, Daiso is exhausted and clings to a large creature for support. The boy asks if she's okay, and she admits her legs are twitching from overexertion. Stella mentions she had a question about Eltsama, shifting the conversation as Daiso recovers. The girl recalls how words popped into her head after defeating the flower general. Just like when she acquired the cockatrice tamer skill, she reads aloud the rare title, Kotien Candidate. The boy asks if she has ever heard of titles before, explaining that in his previous life, titles were just for top players to pass time and had no effect on abilities. They sit beneath a tree, pondering the rarity of such a title. The boy asks if she has heard of Kotien itself, but she admits she hasn't, though she guessed as much. He reassures her it's probably nothing to worry about. Even if it's a skill, they agree to forget about titles for now. As he mentions he had many skills in the game but can't recall the requirements, they walk away from the tree, the boy urging secrecy about the title just in case. Two girls happily reflect on the party they just enjoyed, agreeing that's all that matters. One praises the delicious vegetables served, and the other excitedly confirms the vegetables were grown using water from Jessica. Jessica reacts with surprise, realizing the connection. Jessica recalls using water from her staff but wonders if the plants grew too fast. The other girl explains it's because they're in charge of the plants. Jessica asks to drink more of the water, and the girl encourages her to help herself. Jessica happily drinks the water, which bubbles up as she sips. The girl admits she's drunk and not quite up to par, but the other insists the food is tasty. Suddenly, she wobbles and nearly falls, but the girl quickly grabs her. Apologizing, the girl thanks her, acknowledging their unexpected strength. The girl lifts the other onto her back, cheerfully saying, "There we go." The girl admits it's her first time being handled like this, and the other asks if she has family, noting she often used to do this with her little sisters. The girl confesses she doesn't even know if her family is alive, and the other sympathizes, saying she must have it hard. The girl insists she's enjoying living here despite everything. The bear-like figure announces this year's lucky item is white roses, which surprises the girl, who reveals she's currently growing white roses herself. They share a moment under the starry sky, marveling at the coincidence. Inside a cozy room, the girl sleeps peacefully near a large tree with a small door. The boy asks if the elder won't sleep yet, who replies it's still a little early. The girl offers the boy some herb balls given by Marcosius for his wounds. The boy considers taking one as a snack while noting the girl's hard practice, and the bear-like figure observes that Dia has been giving her all her teachings. The bear-like figure notes how Dia has grown and started speaking more clearly, getting along well with Marchon and Wood, calling her a really smart girl. The boy asks if Wood is doing well too, and the bear confirms he's sturdy in both body and heart, making him a great older brother. Meanwhile, the girl tosses restlessly in bed, murmuring softly. She suddenly hugs the bear-like figure tightly, mumbling for him. The girl, now wearing her birdhood cloak, discusses the benefits of establishing an adventurers guild in town, emphasizing the importance of organization for long-term progress. She mentions how the subjugation ended quickly thanks to the villagers, but questions if that will continue. The boy listens thoughtfully, noting that investigating the underground path is a lengthy process, and that defeating Zanza's dungeon has eluded people for over 1,000 years. She points to a document, explaining that opening a branch guild makes it easier to accumulate knowledge over time. The boy reads further, realizing the position of branch chief in his family is traditionally passed down alongside the family head, held by his father in their homeland. He reflects that his 3 older brothers have official duties but none are branch chiefs of the Adventurers Guild. He admits he never knew this back when he lived with his family, and suspects the branch chiefs are figureheads leaving work to others. The girl explains that the branch chief position comes with international, diplomatic immunity and guaranteed status. The boy contemplates that this could benefit him in competing for inheritance, as none of his brothers hold such a position. The boy admits he doesn't care much about the succession conflict but finds the authority to stop others from interfering tempting. He acknowledges the terms but feels they favor him too much. The girl warns him of 2 things to watch out for if he establishes a branch. First, a branch is financially independent, so bankruptcy means losing the position, though he feels confident since their alchemy and agriculture prosper. Second, securing personnel is essential, as any branch needs at least for people to function, including a branch chief, vice branch chief as proxy, and 2 managers. The boy asks what kind of people would suit these roles. The girl recommends Analia as security manager, praising her high-class education. She then suggests Noel as records manager, explaining the boy's merchant background suits him for managing records. The boy wonders who would be vice chief if he takes that role, and the girl points to Stella, noting her value and emergency skills make her the best fit. The girl asks the boy what he thinks, and he expresses a desire to take on a role that doesn't clearly tie him to the job. Wanting proof he has taken root in the village, she agrees and promises to do her best. The boy counts on her from now on and asks Noel if she is truly okay with being records manager, doubting anyone else is qualified. Noel explains that these 4 positions usually go to the branch leader's close family or trusted retainers, but as a merchant from the north, she can't rely on her family and must work with what she has. The girl praises the boy's maturity for his age. Noel enthusiastically pledges to give her all, slapping the table. The boy thanks both women and says he will be counting on them. The boy asks for a little time to get Analia's consent before proceeding. The girl agrees to stay in the village for a while. He apologizes for giving her extra work, but she insists she just wants to spend time with the cockatrice sisters. The boy reflects quietly, wondering where Analia could be. Walking through the grass, the boy is greeted cheerfully by Tedatoka, who asks if he plans to take a mud bath too. He explains he came to find Analia and finds her relaxing in the warm mud, admitting she overate the day before. The boy congratulates Analia and reveals Leia asked if she wanted to open a branch of the Adventurers Guild. He then suddenly asks if she wants to be the security manager, explaining the support and other staff will be him, Stella, and Noel. Analia reacts with surprise, caught off guard by the sudden question. After a moment, Analia agrees enthusiastically, saying she really likes the village and wants to help. The boy says he'll be counting on her. Tedatoka offers lukewarm water to anyone interested, and the boy reacts with surprise at the offer. Analia relaxes in the warm mud bath, water pouring gently over her head as she sighs in contentment. She exclaims how nice it feels, clearly happy. The boy watches her and remarks that it's refreshing. Realizing she genuinely enjoys the village life, he smiles quietly, thinking it's all good since she seems so at ease. The scene shifts to Zanza's market, bustling with people. A small bear-like figure trots through the lively streets, noting how much livelier the market is compared to the last visit. He wonders where the carriage to Heelberry Village is and if Analia is doing well. The bear figure reflects that he doesn't really need a carriage. Two townsfolk nearby whisper about the unusual presence of a fursuit, curious about what it's doing there. The bear figure hopes to gain something from this visit. Meanwhile, a small bird-like creature chirps, and the bear comments on the quality, volume, and price of something, noting their competence. The bird-like creature reveals it is the fourth son of the Nagash family, residing in Heelberry Village. It looks forward to the tomatoes it expects to receive there. The bird walks through the village streets, anticipation in its eyes as the story hints at a new character named Peep appearing. A character reads aloud that adventurer guilds have many functions, including observing and subjugating monsters and managing supplies. They note all guilds must also run a restaurant serving alcohol as part of adventurer benefits. Another recalls the bustling guild in Zanza's, where many people ate, and mentions Stella and the boy defeating lightning balls there. The boy praises Stella's dish called Ice Dragon Fong. The girl expresses curiosity and wants to try a dish from the boy's hometown. She reflects that her ancient tastes differ from the locals. Noting Zanza's food has a lot of olive oil. The boy agrees and says he wants to try the dish too. She blushes and offers to try making some. The boy chops ingredients while listing green onion, carrots, radish, garlic, Szechuan and chili peppers and ginger. He explains he can grow almost any plant, but these spices differ from what's common in Zanza's. The girl lifts a plate and praises how convenient it is to grow spices there. The boy reads the next ingredient. Bomb mushrooms. He admits cooking is quite spicy but will keep it moderate this time. He recalls bomb mushrooms appear on the third floor of Zanza's dungeon in the mushroom garden. He notes monsters are dangerous but valuable resources. The girl apologizes she can't make bomb mushrooms. The boy explains mushrooms are fungi, not plants, so he can't grow them. The bird-like creature reacts with surprise at this. The girl excitedly insists the bomb mushrooms must be sold at the village store, prompting the boy to suggest they go shopping together. She happily agrees while the boy, petting the bird-like creature, assures it that staying awake will keep him alert. The girl promises the dish will be nearly ready by the time they return. As they head out, the girl cheerfully hums and jumps along, admiring the sunset. The boy notes the crowd heading home at this hour, and the bird-like creature urges them to shop quickly. They arrive at the Nyafu Race's stores, ready to begin browsing the nearest stalls. A cheerful Nyafu vendor pops up to greet them warmly, welcoming them to the store. The boy recognizes the vendor as Noel and asks if she was closing up. She replies they are still open and welcomes his inquiry about bomb mushrooms. Noel quickly produces a prized bomb mushroom, declaring it the highest quality available. The boy listens as she explains their use as stimulants and their long-standing trade by her company. He admits he knows little about them or their culinary use, while the girl and boy sniff the mushroom's spicy aroma appreciatively. Noel explains she even eats the bomb mushrooms herself and that they become bitter if cooked, so people usually eat them in salads. The boy notes it seemed like Stella intended to fry them but decides to trust her as Noel mentions she has plenty in stock. He agrees to take everything she can provide, and Noel thanks him warmly. The boy and the girl arrive home, greeted by the warm aroma of food. The bird-like creature excitedly remarks it smells good, and the girl happily notes the scent makes her hungry. The boy realizes Stella roasted chili peppers in sesame oil. The girl welcomes them home with a bright smile, and the boy excitedly compares the smell to Chinese food. The boy presents the bomb mushrooms they found, and the girl praises their good color and quality. He asks if he should cut them, but she firmly says no. She instructs him to lightly wash the mushrooms and add them to the pot, explaining that exposing the insides to air and heat makes them bitter, so they must be cooked whole and thoroughly first. The boy reluctantly agrees, feeling like he has no room to object, and splashes water on the mushrooms. The girl prepares to add the final touch, pouring a liquid skillfully. Flames flare as she expertly finishes cooking, impressing the boy and the bird-like creature with her skill. Flames flare as the boy nervously asks if the cooking is safe, but the girl confidently assures him it's fine. She skillfully tosses the bomb mushrooms into the sizzling wok, causing the boy and the bird-like creature to react in surprise. The girl expertly chops the heated mushrooms mid-air, explaining this traditional elven dish is called Red Dragon Fong. The mushrooms land perfectly into the wok with a satisfying plop. The boy questions why she cuts the mushrooms mid-air instead of on the plates, making the girl blush as she admits it feels cooler that way. Everyone else beams with excitement, praising her cooking as really cool. The boy asks how to properly eat the dish, curious since it's his first time seeing it. The girl explains it consists of spices, vegetables, and bomb mushrooms cooked in sesame oil, best eaten together. They all eagerly dig in, appreciating the mild spiciness tailored for everyone to enjoy. sharing a joyful meal filled with anticipation and gratitude. The boy takes a bite, and his eyes flash with surprise. The girl anxiously asks if it tastes good, her heart pounding. His face lights up as he declares the dish really tasty. The dish is described as a spicy blend of garlic, Szechuan, chili, and ginger roasted in sesame oil, with the bomb mushrooms' rich umami compared to fine marbled beef. The boy and others praise its amazing depth and deliciousness, while the girl beams, happy to hear such compliments. The girl tears up, overwhelmed with happiness, admitting she's never really cooked for anyone before. The boy enthusiastically asks her to cook more for him from now on. The girl is encouraged by their praise and promises to gladly make the dish again. The boy, now stuffed, suggests serving elven cooking at the Adventurers Guild as an instructor rather than just making it himself. He believes elven cuisine has great potential to benefit the village's development by standing out with its unique flavors compared to local dishes. The girl agrees eagerly to try the plan. The boy acknowledges the challenge of local dishes relying heavily on spice and the wide range of spice tolerance among people. He confidently states he has a plan to address this. The scene shifts to a peaceful village with houses built into large trees. The girl proudly announces the dish is finished, presenting it with a smile. The group reacts with impressed awe. The boy explains that while the basic taste remains consistent, there are subtle differences in flavor between each pot. The bear-like character sniffs curiously, noting the dishes smell different. The boy suggests starting with the hot dish while it's fresh. The bear-like character bites in, eyes sparkling with delight, exclaiming how rich and delicious it is. The girl and others express amazement at how the bomb mushrooms transform the flavor so much. The boy reminds them the tingling spiciness is also important, while the girl beams with pride at her homemade cooking being praised. The bear-like character reacts strongly to the spiciness, feeling it all over. The boy explains the color difference means varying spice amounts were used. He serves another plate, describing the first as mild and the second as medium spiciness. The bear-like character notes the second pairs better with the bomb mushrooms, and the girl finds the novel taste enjoyable. The boy reveals the third plate is the hottest, representing the spiciest flavor from Stella's hometown. The bear-like character bites into the dish, overwhelmed by its flavor. The girl explains that offering 3 spice levels lets everyone enjoy meals with friends and family. The bear-like character praises the harmony of tastes and fiery flavor, while the boy asks if she can handle more recipes. The girl finds the spiciness intense but fitting for colder seasons. The bear-like character eagerly asks for more, calling the bomb mushrooms delicious, and the girl happily serves another plate. The boy asks which taste the girl prefers as a reference, and she chooses the medium spice, admitting she's not used to spicy food but finds it just right. The bear-like character expresses delight in the refreshing sensation, while the boy wonders if the girl is truly okay with the sharp senses of her kind. The bear-like character appreciates how the spices mingle, and the girl proudly declares she likes the mildest version. The boy discusses plans for the guild's main dish, red dragon fans, and the need to decide on a guild location. The bear-like character suggests several good spots near the forest entrance and the great tree tower. The boy wants to make the forest entrance a symbol of the village, noting the playground behind the great tree house. The girl and boy share a quiet moment of agreement. Nearby, the small bird-like creature catches something, prompting excitement and praise from the group. The girl and a large figure notice something ahead, and the bird-like creature flies forward, searching for the village. It spots someone and approaches, drawing the attention of the girl and the large figure. The girl remarks that the visitor is perfect to show them the way to the village, while the large figure acknowledges the newcomer is approaching them. The boy wonders if the creature is a vampire, while the girl explains that vampires must avoid sun and water but gain strong physical and magical abilities in exchange. The small bird-like creature flutters down, struggling to land and shouting for others to get away. Suddenly, the creature crashes to the ground with a heavy thud. The girl excitedly asks if anyone died from the fall, while the boy looks on, sweating nervously. The small creature introduces Iskamina, a geologist here for an investigation. Asking for care, the boy and girl welcome her warmly, explaining she may know Stella from Zanzas. Iskamina beams, honored to meet the great hero Stella. Stella insists she's just Stella, down-to-earth and approachable. The small creature admires her deeply, sensing a power like the earth itself in Iskamina. The girl praises Iskamina's impressive core strength and dedication to her work. The boy expresses surprise at Iskamina's blacksmithing skills. From identifying to processing minerals, Iskamina confirms this proudly. The small creature promises to examine the territory's minerals thoroughly. The boy announces the real work starts tomorrow, revealing Iskamina will live with him as they were academy roommates. The boy suggests touring the village as part of Iskamina's introduction. Noting their old friendship, the small creature excitedly asks about the mud bath. Curious about the village, when asked if anything caught their interest, The boy mentions another person he asked to investigate is expected soon. The small creature eagerly urges him to go, sensing something important. A small creature flails on the ground, prompting concern from two onlookers who ask if it's alive. The creature calmly reassures them it's unharmed, surprising them with its resilience. The creature explains its sturdy suit and tricky landing, then introduces itself as Nana, an adventurer. Two others reveal their names, Wood and Dia, and mention lost memories, while Nana bids them to take care. Nana reveals a storage magic ability, pulling an item from a hidden place on its back. The others react to the convenience and time it takes for the magic to seep in. When asked why it came, Nana says it's investigating an underground passage. The others recognize the investigator and ask if Nana knows Master Rhea. Requesting guidance, Nana agrees and invites them to follow. The small creature admires the vast treehouse from below, impressed by the magic wielded at such a young age. The girl explains this area is the production zone where they cultivate various plants. The creature marvels at the healing berries, mangoes, and even off-season strawberries growing nearby. They exchange cheerful greetings, sharing good vibes with each other. The creature points out the famous mud bath. Noting someone is already inside as rumored, the girl explains the mud bath is beneficial for skin and hair, though hair effects vary by person. The girl asks if the creature is interested in joining the mud bath, but it declines, saying it can't take off its protective suit and isn't fond of the sun. The girl invites it again, but the creature remains silent, feeling misunderstood. The girl mentions that Master Rhea often visits the mud bath. The creature confirms the newcomers are already buried in the mud bath nearby. The girl notes the perfect timing, as Rhea had just called her. The creature sighs in bliss, calling the moment heaven while surrounded by companions. One asks what brings such joy, prompting a surprised shout as the girl Nana suddenly appears, startling everyone. The group approaches the mud bath area, where a familiar figure greets them. They notice the mysterious suit and the presence of Rhea, who promises to introduce herself once she emerges. Nana is welcomed warmly as an active S-rank adventurer and expert in magical tools and dungeon research. She reveals her magic is storage, capable of holding various items, demonstrating with a flying propeller tool. The flying magic tool Nana used impresses the group, explaining how she arrived. Despite some hesitation, Nana offers to show her flight skills, proudly declaring the power of an S-rank adventurer as she prepares to demonstrate. The small flying creature wobbles unsteadily, prompting worried voices to ask if it's okay. Despite concerns about its reckless landing stance and unstable flight, the creature insists the suit it's wearing is sturdy and unharmed. Suddenly, the creature crashes down with a loud thud, drawing immediate calls of concern from the group. The newcomers, including Iskamina and Nana, arrive, and one remarks on the eccentricity of the arrival. The group moves forward as a woman apologizes for the late hour, explaining the moat nearby was filled with her magic. She notes reports from night adventurers sensing magic in the moat's water, which surprises her since she had filled it herself. The woman and the small creature investigate the area near the underground passage, pondering if recent events are related. She dips her finger into the water, finding nothing unusual, but acknowledges multiple adventurers have reported strange occurrences, making coincidence unlikely. She senses something significant has happened. A fierce growl breaks the quiet as a large dog-like creature stands alert beside the group. Small, round objects float on the water's surface, identified as immature bomb mushrooms connected to the underground passage. The small creature explains this might be the source of the magic affecting the moat. Concern grows as the small creature suggests this could be a serious problem, urging a report to Lord Elt. The next morning, the group, including Mogu, arrives early to investigate, greeted warmly by the man leading them. The man carefully scans the area, confirming no magic is detected at the moment. The bomb mushrooms have stopped emerging, prompting speculation that their appearance depends on water flow and underground conditions. The small creature advises patience, suggesting they wait a little longer. The small creature activates a device called Search Tanbokuin, an amphibious magic detector that can fly. With a magic tool in hand, the man prepares to operate Tanbokuin to continue their investigation. The small creature laughs as it confidently launches the amphibious magic detector into the air, assuring its performance despite its tricky handling. The device wobbles in flight, prompting concern from the man watching. The small creature struggles with the controls, but the girl checks on its condition, noting the device is easier to operate than its wings. The small creature insists on investigating with its own tools, prompting a worried glance from the man. The small creature reveals the device is a geological survey tool seen in the north, capable of detecting underground magic. It confidently prepares to use the equipment. The small creature announces the start of the geological survey, energetically manipulating the controls like a DJ. The man and the girl discuss the difficulty of this type of survey, noting the disc removes ground noise for clearer results. The man comments that the small creature resembles a DJ in action. The small creature, determined, vows not to lose in underwater surveys as a propeller falls into the water. The girl points out the challenge is amphibious, not just underwater, signaling the real test is beginning. The small creature alerts Mogu to a detected reaction right beneath Lord Elto. Mogu asks where, and the small creature explains it feels like a small water vein connecting from the dry moat. The girl suggests the moat might link to a lake beyond the village, possibly the water source. The small creature pauses, considering this new information. The man checks the device, noting multiple reactions but clarifies it's not a small bomb mushroom. It's a localized magic surge. The small creature warns Mogu that magic is rising from underground nearby as well. The girl, sensing danger, commands everyone to prepare for battle, gripping a large wooden weapon with determination. A sudden eruption of a towering water pillar startles the group. The man shouts in alarm, trying to understand the phenomenon. The small creature and the girl exchange confused questions about the term Demon King's artifact. Revealing none of them fully comprehend it, the small creature admits it's the first time hearing the phrase, while the girl wonders if anyone else knows. The water pillar transforms into a massive, fiery hydra-like creature. The small creature identifies it as the Demon King's artifact called Blue Hydra, an ancient magical tool said to originate from the demon realm. It admits this version differs from its research, suggesting the definition has evolved over centuries. The man and the girl listen intently, processing this new information. The girl declares the creature dangerous and insists they must destroy the cores within the 5 water pillars to stop it. She takes a defensive stance, ready to draw the creature's attention. The group braces themselves as she commands everyone to attack together. The man summons a giant tree arm to confront the hydra. The massive wooden limb lunges forward, clashing against the fiery creature as the battle begins in earnest. The girl raises her staff, shouting a command to unleash a raging torrent of water magic. The powerful stream surges forward, aimed fiercely at the fiery hydra. Mogu swings a whip, chanting its name as the whip cracks through the air. Anything the whip touches instantly reverts to nothing, nullifying the hydra's fiery form. The girl declares she will finish the battle, apologizing as she uses the small creature as a stepping stone to leap forward. The man watches with surprise as she prepares to strike. She drives her sword down onto the hydra, calling out that this is the last attack. Her grip tightens as she aims to end the fight once and for all. The girl drives her sword down onto the fiery hydra, striking with fierce determination. Flames erupt wildly as she lands her blow. Then she falls back, exhausted from the effort. The man and Mogu observe the aftermath, noting the hydra's magic has weakened significantly. The man spots the core lying on the ground and questions if this is the source of the creature's power. Nana, weary but alive, is checked on by the girl. They remark on the core's rigidity and immense magical drain. The girl admits she has used up much of her magic and suggests retreating for now. Nana carries the small creature, who worries about being too heavy, but she reassures it with a smile. The man follows closely behind as they prepare to withdraw. The small creature explains the costume's advanced features, comparing it to vampire technology and praising its softness and resistance. It describes the core as a highly advanced artifact embedded with various spells, crafted by a genius. The girl recalls fighting the water hydra before near the village, which had blocked their path to the Demon King. The man acknowledges the core's sophistication, setting aside its story for later. The group discusses the hydra cores, learning it attacks intruders indiscriminately as a guard. The small creature apologizes for not retrieving the core, explaining it was forced underground to a specific spot. The girl wonders how many cores remain, and the creature counts 15 left from the original 20. Despite the overwhelming number, the girl reassures them they won last time. They agree on the need to locate the remaining cores. The small creature suggests a vast underground space nearby, not just a tunnel but a massive hall. The geologist confirms the ground is solid and guarantees stability, proposing a select team be sent underground to investigate. Arriving home, the girl announces her return, greeted warmly by a cheerful woman and the small creature. They ask if something happened, and the girl admits only a little, smiling gently. The small creature contemplates the danger of the magic water. While the man thanks it for the insight, the armored man offers to help as well. The girl asks if Marcius was present when they defeated the Demon King and if they also defeated the water hydra. The woman recalls Marchon as a formidable force in the past. Admitting she was strong back then, she explains how Marchon sliced off 8 of the hydra's 12 heads with a sword that moved so fast it was like a blur. The others are stunned by the feat and wonder if the sword is still kept in the storage room. Marchon firmly states she couldn't do that now, though she swears it was true before. The man contemplates the blue hydra, recalling a similar enemy from a game in his past life. He notes the Hydra's core attacks with dozens of heads, but lightning magic could fight it effectively. If only he could use it, he questions if anyone in the village can wield lightning magic, acknowledging how rare attack magic users are, especially for lightning. The group discusses thunder, ore, and electro potions found in the Zanza's dungeon. The man explains that increasing the purity of electro potions can boost their attack power. Though the potions tend to solidify and require more time and materials, he reveals this knowledge comes from his past life and classified information from the Nagashu family. The others react with surprise as he asks if they can gather the necessary materials. The woman and the small creature list rare materials needed: thundercloud crystals, barbule tiger bones, and electric scorpion venom. They consider checking the Zanza's Adventurer Guild, Alchemist Guild, and some merchants to gather these items. The woman offers to handle the Alchemist Guild's share. While the small creature has merchant connections, the man concludes that with such rare materials, only a few electro potions might be made, but a few will suffice. The man asks if they can handle gathering and crafting the materials needed. The woman and the small creature respond enthusiastically, both ready to take on the task. The small creature presents the Adventurer Guild's blueprint, explaining the building is a 3-story rectangular structure. The man notes the layout is well done and credits Leia for providing reference materials. He expresses concern about the burden of using magic to build it, but acknowledges the exterior can be adjusted. Outside, a girl stretches happily while the small creatures chirp around her. A cat-eared character asks if she's taking a pre-dinner walk, and the girl confirms. The man notices a ball shot from her arm, and the tree-like figure explains they're exercising by shooting magic balls. The girl marvels at the fluffy seeds she can now create, having improved from making only hard seeds. The cat-eared character and others happily gather the seeds, excited to take them home. The cat-eared character expresses a desire to help and fight next time, mentioning the water hydra. The tree-like figure gently pets the cat-eared character, expressing happiness just from the thought. The cat-eared character purrs contentedly. The figure then raises a hand, declaring they will shoot the next magic ball. The cat-eared characters cheer loudly as the ball is launched. The girl and the small creatures watch the magic balls, noting the forest is fighting back too. The small creatures feel indebted and vow to do something in return. One promises to squeeze out memories by tomorrow, encouraging each other to do their best. Inside, the cat-eared character remarks how soothing the small creatures are. While the girl looks out the window, the man suggests making the Adventurer Guild resemble a cockatrice, which excites the cat-eared character. The man recalls Leia once tried remodeling the guild into a cockatrice shape but gave up due to high costs. The man decides they need to train to vividly imagine a cockatrice. The small creatures cheer him on, and he smiles, thinking about cuddling with Dia when he gets home. The girl cheers as she raises her staff, declaring the start of an activity. She pours water into a cup held by a flower-crowned companion, who thanks her warmly. The companion gleefully announces it's time for some splashing fun. Both flower-crowned figures soak happily in a mud bath, their expressions relaxed and content. The girl remarks on how alike everyone looks, while the companion notes the cheerful atmosphere. The girl reflects on the importance of blood ties in her homeland, though she has left that behind. The companion agrees they aren't blood-related despite living together. The flower-crowned companion mentions having a family too, sparking curiosity about others. They wonder about Laratomo-chan's well-being. The companion shares that her sister, a talented black rose, loved music and crafting instruments, and they always play music in winter. The girl expresses interest in winter solstice events and dryad music. The companion smiles, saying they always receive water from them. A small creature thanks the cat-eared character for helping recover Tensaku Tanbokuin. The cat-eared character reassures that Elt-sama was also concerned, acknowledging the mess after the battle. The small creature apologizes for the cold and offers to dive in if the net fails. The cat-eared character happily accepts, holding a net and expressing gladness to help. The small cat-like character confidently assures that being fluffy means they'll be fine, while the bird-like companion explains that their sturdy bodies suit merchants and water isn't a concern. The cat-like character feels relieved, but the bird warns not to push too hard. They discuss how vampires avoid seas and rivers, and the bird notes the diving suit can handle it, though it's not thrilled about diving. The bird enthusiastically confirms the presence of water nearby, prompting thanks from the cat-like character. The bird reveals the treasured items they use are heirlooms crafted by their great-grandfather, carrying a rich history and unique naming tradition. The cat-like character admits the performance of the equipment is still a work in progress, and the bird acknowledges how the items sank quickly at first. The bird explains that Tensaku Tanbokuin initially couldn't fly until the previous generation fixed it. They recount how the item was tossed in water repeatedly, nearly lost many times. The bird declares their role is to elevate these inherited magical tools to new heights as they explore uncharted underground paths. A determined rider, accompanied by a small animal companion, speeds along on horseback, confidently claiming to be the best rider in the Alchemist Guild. They assure that this ride will get them to Zanzi's quickly, leaving others surprised by their skill and speed. The rider insists that potions require materials and time, which they see as wasted, so they decide to go full speed ahead. The horse charges forward, kicking up dust as they race onward. The scene shifts to a rustic inn nestled between the village and Zanzi's. The rider announces settling in for the night, inviting everyone to feel at home as the inn is run by friends from the Great Black Moon Trading Company. They enter the inn, apologizing for the intrusion. Inside, a cheerful cat-like figure greets the rider warmly, calling them boss and welcoming them back after a long time. The rider asks if the cat can take care of their horse. They agree to grab a light meal, exchanging thanks and orders for a healthy salad platter. At a table, a man named Gnarl joins the conversation, recognized as a familiar merchant. He asks if they have any good leads and shares information about recent activity from the Black Book Knights. He offers to pay for the drinks, showing a coin as he speaks. The conversation turns to the Black Book Knights, state-sanctioned mage combat units that handle monsters beyond adventurers' reach. The rider confirms they are a reconnaissance unit flying around the kingdom, hinting something is amiss. The man warns they are likely puppets of the nobles and urges caution. The rider acknowledges the warning with thanks. The next day in Zanzi's, the rider checks on material gathering progress, learning only Almirajai's claws remain to be collected. The rider expresses a hunch about the situation. They proceed through a narrow back alley, questioning the safety of such a place for rare materials. The rider explains that back routes are precisely for this purpose, where hidden gems can be found. Arriving at a modest shop called Good Stuff Pavilion, the rider asks if the place is trustworthy. The rider reassures that although the pots and paintings are fake, the materials inside are genuine. With a sigh, the rider accepts the situation as they prepare to enter, gripping the door handle. Inside a cluttered shop, a dog-like merchant greets the visitors warmly, acknowledging their arrival with a cheerful welcome. They inquire about Almirajai's claws, and the merchant confirms a fresh shipment has just arrived. The merchant presents the claws, emphasizing their top quality. The visitors inspect them carefully and agree on their worth. The merchant thanks them for the purchase as the deal is sealed. One visitor asks about the origin of the rare claws. The merchant reveals they come from a certain knight's stock, hinting at a deeper connection. At an underground path entrance, the group reviews information from the Pio sisters. They discover an underground river, an unexpected find that helps map the area. They note the village outskirts are difficult to map, and even the Great Tree Tower didn't aid much. They realize the path's condition remains uncertain until they get closer. The geologist explains her method struggles with stable ground, but if the terrain is artificial, that's a good sign. The group notes the air is fine, though damp, and no monsters are present. The path gradually widens as they proceed. The temperature rises, confirmed by the geologist. While the others sense the heat too, they find a small bomb mushroom on the ground. Recognizing it as a sign the underground river of the Cockatrice sisters is nearby. They agree to stay cautious, noting the mushrooms aren't large enough to pose a threat yet. An hour into their journey, no sign of blue hydras appears along the stone path. The lead spots moonlit moss and hears water ahead. The group marvels as they reach the underground river, its shimmering surface glowing in the cave's darkness. The group stands by a river, unsure if a path exists on the other side. The man declares this could lead to Zanzi's, calling it a major discovery. He asks Stella to throw stones to check the other side. Stella throws stones far across the wide river. Fluffy notes there's an opposite bank, while the man imagines a deep underground river, not just shallow water. The geologist confirms the ground is stable beneath, likely under the village. The man asks what to do next. Stella eagerly insists on continuing, urging the group to move forward. The man decides to create a magic-reinforced floor to cross safely, preparing a wooden walkway. The river flows steadily as the group watches. Stella praises Mogu's magic, relieved they won't slip into the water. Mogu is asked how her magic is holding up after frequent use. The man wipes sweat from his brow, relieved the magic required isn't high level and that he still has plenty left. Fluffy looks tense but reassured. The man carefully steps onto the newly created magical floor, testing its stability. The group follows closely behind, moving cautiously across the stone path as the man confirms no anomalies have appeared so far. The woman notes the water remains shallow and the glowing moss unchanged, signaling the path is safe. The group stands at the edge of the river, facing the wooden walkway stretching across the shimmering water. She urges everyone onward, determined to press forward and see what lies on the other side. The group approaches the other side of the river, wondering what lies beyond the shimmering water. They note the vast scale of the cobbled paths and river, suspecting these are remnants of dungeon construction, far larger than a natural cave. The woman points out that the third layer of Zanza's dungeon has an artificial atmosphere, suggesting the entire passageway was built for construction. Suddenly, she spots something on the other side. Figures about the size of a person accompanied by smaller ones, possibly a parent and child of monsters. They discover the cockatrice and dryad washing sweet potatoes in the river, their cheerful chirping filling the cave. The group is puzzled by the scene but considers trying to make contact with them. The man notices the cockatrice's eyes glowing, and the woman explains they shine in the dark, adapting to the cave environment. With this understanding, they prepare to approach and make contact with the creatures across the river. The group spots a massive blue hydra emerging from the river, its size far larger than before. They notice one neck has multiple cores, hinting the hydra might be a combination of several. Alarmed, they warn each other to watch out as the creature advances. The elf woman remarks that this wasn't how the hydra appeared previously. A small fluffy creature chirps loudly as it charges forward, catching the group's attention. They prepare for battle, with the man urging them to synchronize their attack timing. Though he seems uncertain, the hydra turns its head, ready to engage. The man hears the faint sound of a flute, and the elf notes the hydra's movements have slowed. Seizing the moment, the man summons a magical bow called the Bow of the Tree King. The fluffy creature readies a whip, signaling their coordinated assault. The group launches a combined attack on the hydra, striking it with precision. Flames and magic burst forth as the hydra is overwhelmed. After the attack, the elf smiles and declares the battle perfect, while the man questions if they truly defeated the beast. The small fluffy creature chirps repeatedly, drawing attention. The girl urgently states she must recover the core. The man thanks the creature for saving her the trouble of searching and expresses relief that she is safe. The girl beams with gratitude, sincerely appreciating the help. The man addresses the girl as Lalatoma, the leader of the group, while she cheerfully introduces herself as Elto and offers to guide them to their village ahead. The girl offers herb balls as a snack, prompting surprise from the others. The girl excitedly asks if the herb balls were made by Sister Tedatoka, and the man confirms, explaining Tedatoka lives happily with other dryads on the surface. The man questions why they have come here. The fluffy creature notes the herb balls carry Tedatoka's aura, and the man remarks one can tell who made them just by looking at the sweets. The girl wonders why the queen gave the order to act, but quickly admits she forgot. The man reflects on the queen's order and the long existence of the blue hydra, estimating it has been napping underground for tens of thousands of years. He acknowledges that living underground must be tough, while the others react with surprise and curiosity. The girl cheerfully declares this place their home, recalling it has been a long time since she defeated the Demon King. She calls out their return, and several others excitedly announce the arrival of a guest. The group spots a gondola nearby, but it's broken. The man asks if they can use it, but the fluffy creature explains an earthquake damaged the wooden part. Examining the wood closely, the girl identifies it as rare mahogany favored by nobles and wealthy merchants, specifically an even rarer ruby mahogany. She explains. The man begins casting magic on a piece of wood, producing a glowing effect. The fluffy creature is amazed and asks if this can fix the gondola. The man confirms he'll start with one piece. The girl eagerly offers to help at super speed and asks if there are tools for her too, while the fluffy creature encourages trying since they have the tools ready. Lalatoma relaxes, pleased with the progress, and asks if they can still make the gondola. The fluffy creature senses something off beneath them. Lalatoma requests a bit extra. While the creature reflects on feeling the magical journey, she asks what's wrong, concerned. She explains the soil around the tower felt strange, though the soil under the tower is usually good quality. She occasionally removes floorboards but notices one spot feels off. The fluffy creature asks to investigate, and the man agrees, easily pulling up a floorboard. The fluffy creature pops up, surprising Lalatoma and the man. It asks if this is the Tower of the Great Tree. Lalatoma questions what the creature is doing, and it explains it came through an underground passage. Lalatoma reacts with surprise. Suddenly, a girl bursts in, calling Lalatoma Big Sister, and hugging her tightly. Lalatoma is shocked but happy to see her alive. She offers herb balls, which the girl eagerly accepts, savoring the familiar taste and delighting in its deliciousness. The girl expresses disbelief that Mogu lived underground, noting her surprisingly good health. She asks what Mogu plans to do now and if she will return underground. Mogu declares she will live with Sister Tedatoka instead. The girl laughs, saying that was too easy, and Mogu happily agrees. Mogu thanks Lord Elt for a life full of naps but admits she's tired of sweet potatoes. The girl is excited for Mogu's new life, and Elt smiles, saying the same for himself. The girl asks if it's okay for everyone in the village to live with the kids. Confirming they are family, Elt happily agrees. The girl recalls the blue hydra, asking if it was the last one. She mentions a water creature that appeared in the river, sometimes bigger ones. The elf wonders if the last blue hydra is truly the final one. and Elt warns it could be troublesome if so. The girl announces she has a plan to control the water with her music. She stands confidently on a crate, ready to perform. A crowd gathers, curious about what will start. The fluffy creature expresses excitement, feeling it will be fun. The group discusses the upcoming event, revealing it's the Dryads' concert. Elt questions if being a Meister is really that important. Lalatoma explains only a Meister can perform in front of others, and she is the watering Meister. The girl realizes why Tedatoka was the only one watering in the earth bath. Solving a mystery, Lalatoma readies herself with her instrument, declaring they are about to begin. A girl begins to play a flute, her music flowing gently through the air. The gathered crowd watches in awe, captivated by the beautiful sound that fills the forest clearing. Wow, what a beautiful sound! They marvel together. The melody stirs memories of a past moment by the river, prompting a question about whether it was thanks to Lalatoma. The fluffy creature excitedly asks if others want to dance, and the girl happily declares she wants to dance too. Elto encourages the group, reminding them the woods are a place for fun as well. The creature suddenly exclaims it will dance, prompting the elf to invite Lord Elt to join. He accepts with a smile, and their hands meet in a gentle gesture as they prepare to dance together. The elf admits she isn't very good at dancing yet but wonders if practicing for 2 days straight will help her improve. Elto reassures her that with Stella's guidance, she'll get better quickly. They begin to dance beneath the trees, the music continuing to play as the population of Dryads led by Lalatoma grows, bringing life and joy to the underground village. The small creature apologizes for making the girl take him home, but she insists Nana worked hard too. They notice the curtains are fully closed, and the girl wishes she could block out the morning sun with wooden boards. The creature thanks her for the help and asks about the costume, while she promises to clean up the mess immediately. The girl, now in a costume, slowly opens her eyes and nervously asks the creature to say something about her first appearance. He quickly reassures her that she looks beautiful. The girl admits she doesn't know any other vampires and usually stays in costume around people. The creature comments that vampires are usually good-looking. She's glad for the chance to talk and relax here, having only worked a few times before. She's surprised when he says he wanted to talk to her specifically. The creature reveals he knows her secret, but assures her they are allies. He wants to ask her various questions, starting with the stuffed animals, holding one up with a bright smile. The village of Heelberry proudly boasts its many good points, with a girl smiling warmly as she holds up a garment. Nearby, a boy notes it's a nice village, just as he's heard from Mogu. The girl explains an area has always been like that, focusing on potion making and also taking care of the cockatrice. She emphasizes how important that responsibility is, while a small figure relaxes atop the cockatrice, confirming these creatures live here naturally. The mood shifts to thoughts on Sister Tedatoka's dryness, shown in a playful reunion with laughter. The boy admits he was tired of the sweet potato life but is glad to live here, despite the hardship of 90% of their food being sweet potatoes. They reassure each other they won't die, and the girl says they are tough after all. The boy asks about her nutritional status, and she admits her body is fine but her heart aches. The girl with the heart-shaped hairband agrees, noting he's on his own pace. The scene moves to a casual conversation about Tedatoka's life. She confirms living here is fun, enjoying growing plants and taking soil baths at will. The boy points out snacks in a jar, which Tedatoka opens to reveal shiny rainbow fish scales. Nearby, a group of Dryads marvel at the delicious-looking food. Tedatoka explains the water she uses is special, brought by a person named Jessica, and the boy drinks it, finding it mellow and delicious. As night falls, the girl asks if she can eat some of the herb balls she made, and the boy agrees. They prepare to eat together, with the girl excited about the luxurious feast. Noting there are so many treats that can't be eaten underground, she smiles brightly, affirming that life here is fun, while the quiet night sky with a crescent moon and star frames the peaceful scene. The author, Saniko, expresses heartfelt thanks for purchasing Volume 5 and shares joy in hearing from readers of all ages and backgrounds, both men and women, who are enjoying the manga adaptation. They reveal feeling unwell midway through the process but remain grateful to their kind editor, readers, and everyone who provides feedback, which allows them to keep drawing with joy. The artist finds it truly rewarding that their drawings connect to the original story and appreciates the support from the editorial team, especially Mr. Iwabuchi, MS, Rio, and Mr. Takashi Iwasaki, who provided character designs. They convey deep gratitude to everyone who supports and reads their work, feeling thankful to the earth as well. The royal capital spreads out below as a hand knocks on the door of the Royal Court of Astrologers. The door opens with a click, revealing a determined young woman introducing herself as Kai Strayhorn. Inside, Polka, the leader of the Royal Court Astrologers, swings down from the ceiling to greet Kai, urgently warning her that the situation is terrible and the crystal ball has sensed a bad omen. Polka explains the crystal ball's accuracy is only about 20%, but she insists Kai see the new flash inspiration work technique she developed. Polka reveals the next mission is to the northern Zanzis, where an ill omen has appeared in the water. Kai, just returned from a business trip, is urged to act quickly. Polka promises increased travel allowance and announces that details will be shared later. She also mentions hearing that the hero Stella has been revived, surprising Kai, who recalls Stella as a hero from hundreds of years ago. Polka's occult sensor tingles as she explains the Star Diviner's duty to explore mysteries and protect domestic security. Kai asks about the sensors, and Polka offers a special bonus. A hanging inspiration set to be sent to Kai's home. Kai acknowledges the information and declines further confirmation. The scene closes on the exterior of the Royal Court of Astrologers, framed by leaves in the foreground. The target lies downstream of the underground Great River, where the last blue hydra will appear. The strategy meeting reveals that Lalatoma has been regularly playing taiko drums to suppress the blue hydra, but the crucial drums recently broke. Now, she plays a grass flute. Though its power seems weak, the current situation means the blue hydra can no longer be suppressed, and the leader vows to face the biggest blue hydra fully prepared. Preparations continue as the decisive battle is set for 1 week away. The team confirms all materials for the Thunder God Orb are ready, promising perfect preparations for a safe fight. Spirits lift as they cheer that village life will return to normal once the blue hydra is defeated. Outside, cheerful cockatrice chicks chirp happily, signaling good relations. The leader notes the team is getting along well with the cockatrice sisters. One of the sisters offers snacks to the chicks, who respond with joyful sounds, showing their bond. The leader and Lalatoma discuss how the cockatrices can understand each other, likely due to living together underground for so long. This suggests Lalatoma may possess the skill of a cockatrice tamer. Smiling warmly, Lalatoma offers herb balls to the chicks, reinforcing their close connection. The question arises whether Lalatoma often makes herb balls, as the fluffy cockatrice chicks chirp happily around her. She beams with joy, glad the village's cockatrices can enjoy the treats too. Noticing one chick is a bit plump, she examines it closely, pondering the cause. The plumpness of the chicks has become noticeable since their arrival in the village. Lalatoma warns that if this continues, they will become jiggly and insists they need exercise to reduce the jiggle. She enthusiastically suggests going outside to exercise together. Outside, Lalatoma points out that while the apples are fine, they should wait 3 more days for the others. The group has come to help reduce the plumpness of the chicks. Tedatoka is acknowledged as tired but determined, saying she'll be fine even if she stays up 4 days straight for Payo-chan. The cat character notes the cockatrices are cute, but that Lord L2 and Stella still have much to handle after the meeting. The cockatrice chicks cheerfully offer to help with the harvest, their energy filling the air. The cat asks if the others will assist, and the answer is affirmative. The leader considers leaving the work to them since Lalatoma can handle translation, confident it won't interfere with their tasks. The dish is revealed. A red, spicy stew resembling the red dragon's claw, but mass-produced. The girl explains the dish while stirring, adding a generous amount of thick noodles. The other girl excitedly remarks how delicious it looks. The noodles are introduced as udon, thick and different from pasta, coming from the girl's hometown. The other girl questions the difference, and the first simply repeats that they are thick, leaving the second girl speechless. The girl jokes about the noodles pairing well with the rich, chewy soup. She admits it's been a while since she made udon but assures confidence in her soup. The other girl relaxes, understanding the explanation, while a boy nearby sighs quietly. The boy presents a blueprint for a new building to a large, cloaked figure, calling it the shape of a friend. The cat-like leader explains they chose a noticeable design because cockatrices live in the village, introducing several cockatrice chicks by name, all eager to help. A boy and a creature whisper quietly about some people, deciding to leave them alone. The boy then cheerfully insists that Dio is cute, scooping up a small bird-like creature who chirps happily. Nearby, 2 girls in the kitchen announce that the dish is ready. 3 steaming bowls of soup sit on the table. The boy and a girl examine the dish, recognizing it as red udon. The girl explains it's exactly as named. While the boy asks if it's meant to be eaten with chopsticks, she replies that in her hometown it is, but here there's no strong custom for chopsticks. The boy mentions learning about chopstick use in table manners class, and the girl is pleased they have some spare ones. The creature asks if the boy bought the chopsticks from Zanz's, and he confirms he bought several sets since one is expensive. The creature considers trying them too. The girl invites the creature to eat with them, and it eagerly agrees. The boy begins eating the noodles, slurping them up. The girl praises the boy's skill using a spoon and fork, attributing it to the power of hunger. The boy confirms the dish is delicious, with well-stewed vegetables. She explains that the original red dragon's claw requires precise control over heat and timing, making it difficult to cook, but this dish might be better suited for making in large quantities, even if the way of eating noodles differs. The boy decides to add the dish to the Adventurers Guild restaurant menu. Smiling as he eats with chopsticks, nearby, two figures relax in a warm, cozy mud bath, one sighing in contentment about how great it feels. A girl tending the water playfully remarks on how much the others are enjoying themselves while performing her water deity duties. She pours water from a family heirloom staff. Explaining its significance, the girl asks how much water can be drawn at once, and the answer is about 30 buckets like the one shown. Amazed by the amount, the boy notes it will take time to fill. The girl emphasizes the importance of good soil and water in life. They discuss how hot springs would be even better, with the girl explaining their health benefits from minerals in rocks and earth. The boy, curious, asks what hot springs are, while the others agree they sound wonderful. The girl nostalgically recalls making homemade hot springs at the academy and earning pocket money with a friend's help. She explains how she created hot spring-like water by blending soils and chemicals. The boy questions if mixing soil and rocks really changes the water that much, and the girl confirms. Noting the soft water around them, he asks if she can make it again when she has time, and she happily agrees. 3 days later, the group notices the chilly air as they walk beneath fruit trees. A young man calls out to Lord Elt. Surprised to find him there, Lord Elt appears flustered, and the young man explains that the knights are stationed at the back of the village. The group reacts with concern when they hear about a knight order's presence, wondering if something happened. They note there are no monsters nearby, so the knights might just be passing through. Lord Elt asks if anyone recognized the crest of the knight order. Learning it was a black-covered book, he explains that among the 30 knight orders, the Black Book Knights are a prestigious group with tradition and history. The others ask if this is bad news. Footsteps approach as a figure arrives, and a girl knight with sheep-like horns asks if Lord Elt Nagash, the ruler, is present. She explains that the Black Book Knights receive support from the Nagash family and should be friendly. The sheepfolk girl knight introduces herself as Kai Strayhorn, vice commander of the Black Book Knights, and apologizes for the intrusion. She requests permission to pass through and rest within the territory due to an urgent matter. She presents a formal letter from the Black Book Knights and the Royal Court of Astrologers, led by Kai and 2 others, seeking the Sword King's blessing in exchange for a just price. Lord L2 confirms the letter's authenticity, noting the paper quality, format, and seal show no suspicious points, so it should be accepted. He promises to arrange accommodation and meals, prompting a grateful bow from Kai Strayhorn. She then asks if he noticed the almiraj behind her. He does, and the fluffy creature makes a soft sound. Kai explains the almiraj here are shy but safe. Lord L2 asks if she rode one here. She confirms, revealing her family's deep connection with almiraj, who are faster and tougher than horses and often used as messengers. She notes most lords are wary of them, but Lord L2 remains unfazed. She admits it's her first time seeing one in person but knows they're E-rank monsters and not vicious. Lord L2 adds that the almiraj don't look like a threat and finds them incredibly cute. The almiraj respond with soft sounds, reinforcing their gentle nature as Kai and Lord L2 share a moment of mutual understanding and calm. Lord L2 questions the urgency of the dispatch, asking if it comes directly from the king and requesting only what she is allowed to say. The girl knight Kai Strayhorn nervously explains the mission is assigned by the Royal Court Astrologers and shows an official seal on the document. She begins to outline the situation, prompting Lord L2 to reflect on the difficulty of back-to-back business trips. Suddenly, a cheerful voice calls out to Lord L2 as Stella Celester and the almiraj return. Stella is introduced as the hero of Zanzi's, and Kai Strayhorn formally presents herself as the vice-captain of the Black Book Knights. The group exchanges greetings, and Lord L2 acknowledges Stella warmly. Kai studies Stella intently, revealing she has heard rumors about her in the royal capital, but clarifies they are not bad. Kai awkwardly asks for Stella's autograph, while Stella modestly insists she is just a normal adventurer. Lord L2 inquires if Kai can really tell anything from a signature, and she thanks him thoughtfully. Kai explains that the Court of Astrologers keeps records to compare signatures and confirms they have verified Stella's status with the Adventurers Guild as a precaution. Lord L2 asks if this will cause trouble, but Kai assures him only occult fans might be interested. The almiraj looks dejected, and Kai excuses herself to attend to it, asking if it is thirsty. The girl offers a bowl to the fluffy creature, asking if she can pet the little ones. The small elf reacts in surprise, realizing she figured it out. The girl assures she'll be fine. Having a few tricks up her sleeve, the fluffy creature is wary, especially if strong magic is sensed nearby. The girl inhales deeply, focusing her magic, as she reaches out to the creature. Its size visibly shrinks. Lord L2 and the small elf watch in amazement as the fluffy creature happily embraces the girl, radiating warmth. The small elf comments on the girl's incredible technique of suppressing her magic, calling it proper manners to enjoy the fluff. The girl asks Lord L2 to make some carrots for her, which he agrees to. The fluffy creatures eagerly await, their eyes sparkling with anticipation. The small elf wonders if it's okay to feed the fluffy creature some carrots, and Lord L2 agrees. As the girl offers carrots, one of the creatures chomps down enthusiastically, causing the small elf to protest playfully. The creatures jostle each other happily, while Lord L2 watches with a calm expression. The girl explains that Almiraj have a strict hierarchy, so feeding order is crucial. Lord L2 asks if it's okay to feed first, and she nods. As the creatures eagerly eat, he rushes to get fresh carrots. The fluffy creatures line up obediently, ready to be fed. One of the creatures chomps down on a carrot, followed by another, showing they are eating properly. The girl remarks on how wonderful it is to see them so fluffy and content, while the small elf watches, noting how used they are to this. Lord L2 laughs, noting monsters already live in this village. The girl reacts with surprise at the big bunnies, while the small elf asks about the commotion. Suddenly, the girl is shocked and yells, recognizing the creatures as cockatrices. The girl gasps in horror, repeating the word cockatrice, while the small elf and Lord L2 ask what's wrong. The girl collapses with a thud, overwhelmed and struggling to breathe, clearly terrified by the presence of the cockatrices. Lord L2 asks what's wrong, while the girl explains that cockatrices are tough creatures immune to poison and magic, feared even by mages. She recalls how everyone in her old home was terrified of them. The girl wonders if the shock caused the other girl's collapse, revealing the old method to avoid cockatrices. Playing dead, though it's a classic trick, it's still used. The group watches the girl struggling on the ground, reflecting that the world holds many kinds of trauma, even for creatures as cute as cockatrices, and that such experiences deserve respect. The cockatrices, communicating in their own way, insist they're not chicks but cockatrices. They ask why the girl came to the village. While a small unicorn-eared bunny listens intently, the cockatrices' playful chatter continues, and they happily agree to the idea of hiking together. Lord L2 quietly suggests moving to another spot, gently reaching out to the collapsed girl. The girl weakly responds with a farewell to the cockatrices, who cheerfully say goodbye and prepare to leave with the girl who had been caring for them. Back at the court astrologers, the girl asks about the bad omen involving water from the divination. Lord L2 confirms it likely concerns the blue hydra and that progress has been made on the matter. The girl reacts with surprise that the divination was accurate, while the cockatrices and their caretakers joke about the harshness of the insults but appreciate the decent budget they've been given. Lord L2 explains they are already taking countermeasures against the blue hydra. The woman with braided hair clarifies their role is mainly warning, but they will offer support in emergencies. He asks what kind of magic she uses, and she reveals it's search magic, specializing in investigating monsters and magical items. She hopes to help by roughly pinpointing the blue hydra's location, though tracking anything buried underground or underwater is difficult. They agree this will keep the village leader, Lalatoma, safe. He confirms she will stay in the village until the operation begins, and she agrees to cooperate. He asks about compensation, and she says the payment will come from the royal court astrologers who made the request. She offers to write a formal letter confirming the divination's accuracy to please the astrologers. The fluffy creature dozes off as they discuss letting the Almiraj rest. Lord L2 asks if there are other requests or precautions. The woman mentions the Almiraj like going on walks and asks permission to take them out. He agrees as long as they keep an eye on them and notes the cockatrices roam freely and aren't the type to stay cooped up. She resolves to do her best. The scene shifts to the fluffy Pyo-chan, who is asked about bunnies. She is questioned about their appearance, size, and love of carrots. Lord L2 remarks that bunnies aren't often seen here since they're monsters, but it's nice they're gentle creatures. He recalls how they munched carrots the whole time. The woman asks if bunnies are listed in the encyclopedia, and he confirms they are, under their name. They flip through a book showing a fierce-looking creature, and the group shudders at its vicious appearance. One asks if the real creature is different, and another assures they're much cuter in real life. They decide to ask Kai about the creatures, noting they take them out for daily walks. In Kai's room, the exhausted girl murmurs about cockatrices. Outside, a wolf-like instructor announces the start of cockatrice training, emphasizing that cockatrices are gentle herbivores but not weak. He promises to demonstrate their true strength. Meanwhile, small bird-like creatures excitedly gather around a large pile of fruits, chirping about the abundance of strawberries, melons, and grapes, wondering if it's already the season for their yearly event. The wolf instructs everyone to pay attention to just how powerful cockatrices really are. The armored wolf bursts forward with a roar, startling the birds who cheer for him. The wolf grabs one of the fluffy creatures, squishing it gently, while onlookers in surprise that the instructor was actually stopped. The fluffy creatures chirp eagerly, urging to be petted, their soft feathers inviting gentle touch. The armored wolf instructor bangs his fist, commanding the class to remember. Never fight cockatrices, just play dead. The students, startled, quickly agree. Relieved they'll have nothing to fear. In a quiet room, a sick girl murmurs about cockatrices as she lies in bed. A small horned creature pats her gently, trying to comfort her. She winces in pain but finds some solace in the creature's presence. Awakening with a start, she realizes it was only a dream. The horned creature watches her sleep. Then she sighs and decides to go for a walk. Outside, the night air feels like a forest, peaceful and quiet. As she strolls, she notices a figure reading on a bench, dressed in a mascot costume. The horned creature nearby flinches, sensing something. Suddenly, the girl's eyes widen in alarm. The cockatrice's eyes are glowing, and dizziness overtakes her as danger looms. She snaps her fingers anxiously, admitting she cannot find peace of mind and decides to go back. Sighing, she acknowledges that although cockatrices don't attack people, unease lingers. She quietly closes the door behind her and spots the sleeping creature resting on a cushion, softly calling out to it. Gently pinching the creature's cheek, she thanks it for leaving the bed free. The creature smiles contentedly as she settles beside it, whispering good night before drifting off to sleep. A girl blinks awake, wondering if she fell asleep and if someone named Iskamina put a blanket over her. A small bear-like creature asks if she woke up, calling her Mogu. The girl reflects nostalgically on her student days. The creature offers her sweet potato juice with a cheerful smile. The girl recalls how she used to drink sweet potato juice constantly while buried in studying. The bear-like creature reminds her that even if Inaria never listens, she should ensure proper nutrition. They note they are almost done with the lightning god orb. The creature admires the purity of the potion, saying it's more refined than a normal lightning potion. The girl says they only need to crush an almiraj claw and mix it in to complete it. She offers to help with anything. The girl asks the creature to crush some materials for her. A small bird-like creature hums happily nearby. A girl tells Lord L2 to tidy up and meet the almiraj. He notices his bedhead and is caught off guard. The girl is excited and fired up, while Lord L2 remarks she must be looking forward to it. A small bird-like creature admires its reflection, asking if it looks perfect. Kai praises Jiz's cuteness and thanks the creature. Outside, a girl notes the weather looks uncertain, so they decide to bring a raincoat just in case. The group prepares to leave as the door opens with a soft sound. The group arrives at a large tree home, surprised to find several small creatures gathered outside. They notice a girl lying down, seemingly asleep. The creatures question if she's really sleeping or just pretending, showing concern. Kai insists the girl isn't dead, explaining she has a condition that makes her fall asleep whenever she sees a cockatrice. The group wonders what exactly is happening. Realizing Kai must have encountered the cockatrice during a walk, everyone seems to have come to meet the almiraj for the same reason. The group greets a fluffy bunny-like creature, with the small bird excited to pet it. The girl encourages the creatures to say hello, and they happily munch on breakfast. Kai and the girl offer to try feeding the bunny, sharing a warm moment among the creatures. The small bird-like creature nibbles happily on a carrot held by the fluffy bunny-like creature, making a cute sound. A girl offers some to Payo-chan, who responds with cheerful chirps. The wooden figure joins in, offering snacks to the gathering creatures. The wooden figure is swarmed by the small creatures, who seem drawn to his wooden body. The girl and another watch, noting how much the creatures must like the texture. One of the small birds is held and praised for its softness. Lord L2 gently rubs one of the small birds, commenting on how nice its fluffy feathers feel. The bird explains it takes a bath every day to stay clean. The girl expresses amazement, asking what they talk about. Lord L2 asks if Dia can communicate with the almiraj, and Dia confirms she can. The girl remarks on how fluffy her feathers are, making Payo-chan jealous. Suddenly, a sheep person calls for Lord L2, who is distracted by the scene. He apologizes and explains that the cockatrices surrounded him, but it actually helped him since he couldn't move. He wonders why they acted that way. The girl explains she couldn't exactly wake up, describing it as a reflex now, and that when she returns home, the almiraj kicks her. The man acknowledges how rough that sounds. Another suggests pretending to put her to bed and taking her home, then keeping some distance while having her follow afterward. The man asks about handling the person if it's just taking the almiraj out for a walk. The girl confirms she can talk to the almiraj, surprising the man who didn't expect that. The man agrees that plan should be fine and instructs to put Kai to bed for a bit. The girl agrees, and the fluffy creature gives a thumbs up, saying that's probably for the best. Suddenly, the creature protests about the walk, expressing concern. The man and girl decide to take care of the walk themselves and suggest touring the village. The girl lying on the grass is shown thinking about the walk. The creatures cheer together, and the man asks if there's anywhere they'd like to go. The girl excitedly declares she wants to go to the lake, greeting another girl warmly. They discuss how even the underground cockatrices haven't been to the lake, noting the great view and that it's about a 2-hour round trip, making it just right. The man agrees enthusiastically, asking if they should head there, and the girl holding the small creature says she's all for it. A girl rushes to greet Lord L2, apologizing for interrupting him. He asks why she is in such a hurry. She reveals she has managed to make 2 lightning orbs so far. He reacts with surprise, noting they look different from normal lightning potions. She confirms they turned out perfectly. The girl sighs with relief, but the woman beside her notices dark circles under her eyes and asks if she's all right. The girl admits she just wanted to finish quickly. The small creature warns her not to push herself and to take care of her skin. The girl smiles and promises to get some sleep first, holding a wooden stake and saying it will make her healthy again. The creature senses flames behind her, and another woman explains they were just discussing her well-being. The girl agrees to a healthy veggie life, and the woman offers to have Iskamina turn the vegetables into juice. The girl grabs the idea enthusiastically. Lord L2 says he'll head back for now, reminding them to hold on to 1 orb for Stella and to throw it when needed. The creature pledges to do its best, while Lord L2 counts on it, explaining wood would be the best choice for power. The girl and Lord L2 greet Mogu warmly. She confirms she handed the Thunder God orbs to Lord L2 and plans to take a bath and rest. Another woman asks about the wooden tub she's holding, and Mogu explains it's for mixing various things into the water, recalling Iskamina mentioned it earlier. A creature roars loudly as a small figure insists they want the dryads to try something first and share their impressions. A girl admits Jessica tricked her into it, so she had no choice. Another voice disapproves of human experimentation, but the girl laughs it off, saying Jessica just wants to make the village better. Outside, a girl shyly accepts some herb balls as a snack, thanking the giver. The hot water is ready, and the small creature declares that from here on, the task is hers. A table is revealed, laden with various powders and bottles. The creature explains this will be the base for the hot springs and that they'll start with it as a luxury item before possibly applying it to agriculture. The girl praises the creature's water magic, hopeful it will work. The creature adjusts her hat and prepares to begin, while the girl asks if it's really important to drop the mixture in from above. The girl explains Iskamina prioritizes style and is skilled at mixing mineral compounds. Having honed those skills to pay tuition, they decide to dip an arm in to test the water. With the creature encouraging the trial, the arm dips into the steaming water, signaling the start of the experiment. The water tingles slightly but feels quite pleasant, though it might sting a bit. Still, it could be too soon for Lalatoma's group to use it. Concern flickers as a question arises about whether something is wrong. The girl explains that the water makes it harder to channel dryad power properly, but it's not harmful. When asked what dryad power is, she compares it to the power of the earth. The small creature enthusiastically confirms understanding, despite a note that she actually doesn't. They discuss what to do with the bathwater, deciding against reckless actions. The girl feels energized already, but the others caution that instant effects would be dangerous. The group agrees the bathwater is just a unique blend of additives. Thoughtfully, the girl considers their options while rustling a seed in her hand. She squeezes the seed tightly, concentrating as magic power flows. The others react with surprise at the display. Suddenly, the seed groans as it reacts to the magic energy being applied. She releases the seed with a bright smile, announcing that it's done with a cheerful, "There we go." The others watch in surprise and curiosity. She beams happily, noting that her dryad power seems to have increased a bit. The group nears the lake, the girl cheerfully announcing their arrival as the small creatures chirp excitedly. They all gaze in awe at the shimmering water, the girl exclaiming how beautiful it is. The girl imagines how wonderful it would be to be buried here with such a view, while the boy points out the spot was where Tedatoka was once buried. They note the soil is soft, fluffy, and nutrient-rich, pondering the reason behind it. The boy suggests some free time but warns not to wander too far, and the group agrees enthusiastically. The boy uses magic to enhance the grass, inviting the creature to rest with him. The creature happily accepts, declaring a nap, while the girl asks to join. The boy welcomes her warmly, encouraging relaxation by the lake. The girl sighs contentedly, enjoying the breeze off the lake, remarking how different it feels from being underground. The creature agrees, smiling at the fresh air. Suddenly, the creatures stare intently, prompting the boy to ask if something is wrong. The girl notes how the creatures have been fascinated by Lord L2 ever since he sprouted the lawn. She recalls how carrots popped right out of his hand yesterday, surprising the creatures. The girl observes their bafflement at how he can just make things grow, while the boy quietly concentrates, preparing to use magic. The boy summons a fresh carrot with a magical gesture, delighting the creatures who cheer excitedly. The boy remarks that vegetables seem more popular, while the creatures catch their breath in excitement. The girl notices something and asks what it is, prompting the boy to call out to Payo-chan. The group spots a flying figure approaching, and the girl wonders if it's a bird. The boy questions if the figure is heading straight for them, surprised since vampires are supposed to hate water. The girl suggests the visitor chose this place to avoid causing trouble. Suddenly, the boy recognizes the figure as Rain Payo. Light rain begins to fall, and the boy acknowledges it's finally starting to rain. Though it's just a drizzle, the girl points out that the lake is pouring heavily in one area. The boy assures her there's nothing to worry about, but both are surprised by the sudden downpour. Rain pelts down as Nanapayo struggles to fly through the storm, soaked and flapping wildly. The girl and the boy watch anxiously, noting how drenched she is and that the rain is heading their way too. The armored figure remarks this is his first time seeing a rainy lake, finding the rain oddly refreshing despite the bad luck. The group walks through the rain-soaked forest, the boy expressing fondness for the scent of rain. They note how rare long storms are here, and the girl warns that Nanapayo is wobbling dangerously in the air. The rain intensifies, and the girl fears Nanapayo might fall into the lake. Alarmed, the small bird-like creature cries out that Nanapayo is in danger of dying. The girl reassures that Nanapayo's vampire bodysuit is advanced enough to handle most situations, with built-in flotation and diving modes. The boy agrees, confident she's prepared for anything, but the bird's panicked flapping signals trouble as Nanapayo suddenly plummets. The trio watches in stunned silence as the magic device suddenly emits smoke and a burning smell. The girl shouts a warning that this is a crisis unlike any before. The boy quickly moves to help, realizing they must act immediately to save Nanapayo. The small bird-like creatures insist they can't ignore someone in trouble and confidently dive into the water to help. The boy questions if cockatrices can swim, but the girl reassures him they are natural in water. He relaxes, accepting their aid. The boy conjures a swirling mass of leaves and instructs the girl named Stella to spread it where Nanapayo is about to land. She eagerly agrees, ready to catch her. The bird-like creatures splash urgently, urging haste. Stella leaps gracefully across the water's surface, carrying the leaves, while the girl encourages herself not to fall behind. Nanapayo's mother is seen running literally on top of the water, astonishing the boy and the small bird. The boy rationalizes she must be using levitation magic to glide, despite the smoke still rising. Nanapayo's mother is in the perfect spot to catch her, and the rain sound is fading, signaling the crisis is nearing resolution. Nanapayo falls through the air, landing with a heavy thump on a patch of bushes near the water. A girl watches anxiously as the small bird bounces slightly on impact. The group reacts with relief at the perfect landing, though the smoke still lingers. The boy notes she landed safely despite the ongoing smoke. Suddenly, a massive explosion erupts nearby, startling everyone. Rain Payo cries out Nanapayo's name in panic. The girl quickly pulls Nanapayo up from the bushes, assuring everyone she will be okay. The boy, the girl, and the small bird watch the smoky aftermath cautiously. A helmeted woman urgently calls out to Lord Elto, warning of an emergency. A highly compressed surge of mana is coming from the lake. A towering burst of water erupts from the lake, shocking the group. The boy and the helmeted woman stare in disbelief, recognizing the power as that of the blue hydra. The girl clutches her grass flute, determined to play it to respond to the crisis. The water suddenly slows its movement, startling the group. The boy explains the blue hydra travels through the water, and with the earlier rain soaking the area, it might have rained over the village too. They agree they can't let it get near the village. Determined, the boy declares they will fight the blue hydra here, noting Stella and Nana are already nearby. The group discusses their plan as the lake ripples ominously. The girl asks Marcosias and Dia to stay behind and look after Lalatoma. The boy urges Lord Elto to ride the Almiraj. The armored figure hesitates but agrees, while the boy wonders if the Almiraj can carry wood too. The girl reassures him it's an emergency, so it can. The girl explains how to straddle two Almiraj and lie face down for riding. The armored figure worries it's too much, but the girl insists the little creatures have undergone intense training and can handle it. The boy watches quietly as the Almiraj fluff up, preparing for the ride. The boy asks if the armored figure is ready, who replies maybe. The boy encourages them to go, and they take off at high speed. The boy is shocked by how fast the Almiraj are, barely able to hold on as they rush forward. The rider spots a river ahead and alerts the group. The Almiraj leap across the gap with a loud ding, landing safely on the other side. The boy watches as the others follow, their hoofs thudding on the ground. Rain begins to fall harder, and the boy worries they are still too far from the blue hydra. The armored figure, uneasy, acknowledges the worsening weather. The girl comforts the small bird-like creature, urging it to keep going. She asks if it still has mana left, emphasizing the need for its magical whip. The small bird-like creature, Payo-chan, prepares to use the Pechi whip despite warnings of recklessness. The girl watches anxiously, pleading with Pio-chan not to act rashly. Pio-chan suddenly launches forward with determination, creating a swift splash as it moves. Pio-chan strikes the blue hydra with its whip, causing a splash and a loud BAM. The creature questions if the attack was effective, but the blue hydra remains standing, only slightly damaged. The group watches tensely as the battle continues, knowing more effort is needed. The girl asks Nanapio if she was flying earlier, but Nanapio hesitates, denying it seriously. The girl insists that even a body slam should buy them some time. Nanapio agrees reluctantly, acknowledging Lord Elto's magic and the lightning orbs from herself and wood will help them reach the perfect position soon. Nanapio finally accepts, telling them to throw her, and the girl thanks her enthusiastically. The girl prepares to toss Nanapio, counting to 3 as she lifts her up. Nanapio protests, asking to hold on for a second, but the girl proceeds with the throw. Nanapio is hurled through the air with force, the blue hydra reacts to the incoming attack, and Nanapio screams mid-flight. The girl calls out to Wood, instructing him to move a little more to the right. The blue hydra catches Nanapio in its claws, and the girl rushes over to check if she is okay. Nanapio, dizzy but unharmed, assures them she is fine. The boy admires the skill involved, noting that not just anyone could imitate a cockatrice and get launched like that, praising the girl as an S-rank adventurer.